I'll figure it out. We just need to vote to go into executive session, and then I'll figure it out while we're in executive
Okay,
session, right?
I'm gonna just start her off and go into executive session. Welcome to the Sturbridge Conservation Committee meeting for May 5th, 2025, May 15th, 2025. It is 5:30. We are in person and remote this evening. If remote, please join the meeting from your computer, tablet, or smartphone at https://meet.goto.com/town-of-sturbridge/conservation. In order to call in, dial 1-646-749-3122. Use access code 819-169-093. Please remain muted at all times except when speaking. Okay, we're going to do a roll call. Start over with you, Flora. You're here?
Yes, San Germano present. I will be reading the...
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a sec. Yeah.
Nathan Lane, present.
Okay, Ed Goodwin present. And Eric? Did we lose you? Looks like we did.
No, we did not lose him.
Can you hear me? No? Can't hear me?
I need both. Ah, gotcha. I need both things hooked up here. A little different.
Yep, you present,
setup.
Eric?
Yes, he's giving thumbs up.
Okay, great, all right. Nate, why don't you read that?
Sure. All right. In the interest of saving time, the Sturbridge Conservation Commission will hold all public hearings tonight for work within a wetland, water body, or resource area, and or within the 200-foot buffer zone to a wetland, water body, or resource area, in accordance with the Mass Wetland Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, and associated regulations, and the Town of Sturbridge Wetland Bylaws and associated regulations. We will not be reading the newspaper ad. Prior to opening the first hearing for each project, the applicant is to submit proof of notification to abutters within 200 feet of the subject property line and proof of legal newspaper advertisement. If these items are not submitted, the public hearing will not open. Additionally, prior to the start of each public hearing, we will announce the location of the project, the applicant, and the applicant's representative. If any of the visitors have not legibly signed in yet, please do. Also, if any visitors are recording this meeting, please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to go into executive session pursuant to GLC 30A, Section 21A, 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, Boston RV Resorts and Cottages in Sturbridge, LLC versus Sturbridge Conservation Commission. Worcester Superior Court docket. We don't have a number for that?
We do have a docket number 2185 CV00756.
185 CD?
CV.
What?
C is in Charlie, V is in Vivian.
Yep.
00756.
075. All right. Involving
can you send a message to Eric if he's going to do the motions, or I do them? I think it'll just be easier. Okay.
This was also you start getting a little chunky here.
Tammy, you're gonna have to come every meeting. What an audience. All right. Motion to go back into regular session.
I make the motion to go back to regular session.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Van Sherman in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Nathan Lane in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor. All right.
Eric, I'm in favor.
All right, we are
3.
presentation for Cammie Green and Noel Earl. And they brought Tommy along.
Did. Hello, how are you guys? So, does everybody know about the longevity projects at this point?
Well, we'd like to hear a little, kind of a summary type.
Okay. So Tammy and I came up with this idea after spending time on Block Island and enjoying their project that they have there called the Glass Float Project. So on Block Island, they have these hand-blown glass floats that they hide along their trails and beaches, and people come to the island and hunt for them. And each one is numbered and dated, and they're sort of like coveted prizes. I think at this point, they put about 200 out per year, and they're estimating between 5,000 and 10,000 tourists per year come to look for the glass floats. So while we were there, and actually we were there this winter, we were spending some time on our own trails thinking it would be nice if we had something like that to search for. So we came up with the acorn, which is an acorn that I had found on our trails like 11 years ago that I made into a necklace, and it happens to be part of our logo for our business. We own a real estate brokerage in Sturbridge, and so we thought it would be nice to create something for everybody in our community to search for. So we spoke with Rona over at Twiddle Tees, and we had her create these beautiful pottery acorns for us, and we brought them to our first meeting and got some approval and support. And so we're at this stage where now we have 50 that she's created, and they're all ready to go. And we have a July 1st drop date is our sort of target date where we would like to get permission to hide these acorns along the trails. All the marked trails, I think we're focused on the ones behind Old Sturbridge Village. I know you have a list of them over here. So that's where we're at.
I did do some examples of where they would be hidden. I did send it to Lauren. She was going to try to put it up, but I do have a paper copy as well.
Okay, yeah.
See those?
Do you, they also have some rules,
Yep.
so maybe you should go over the kind of the rules
Yep.
of the project.
Yeah, so we'll have a sign that will be up at the trailhead, and it will have, it'll have the rules. And so, none of the acorns will be more than 5 feet off the trail. And essentially, they'll be somewhat visible if you're looking for them. So if they're in the stone wall, they would be positioned so that you don't need to, dismantle anything. Maybe in like a tree hub, or, underneath a stone, like a big stone. There's some examples there. Maybe underneath some, bushes or whatnot. But, if you're actually looking for them, you should be able to find them.
Gonna be a lot of scurrying around out there, Tommy. Is there gonna be an opening day?
Well, we're shooting for July 1st.
I know that, but are you gonna have an opening day? I know that you're shooting for July 1st, but is it gonna be announced,
Oh, hopefully. I
like
think that would be a
fishing
good idea.
season?
Yeah.
Well, the announcement, I believe the announcement will say they're on the trail on July 1st.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, they may be out before then, but we will have them out there on July 1st.
And only on marked trails, and only on the specific trails that we have listed here that we're approved for.
So right now, for obviously, the Trails Committee has fully endorsed this project. As a member of the Trails Committee, I've been working with the ladies. The funding for the initial 50, plus to make the signs that we'll be putting out at the trail entrance, the main trail entrances, are all being paid by the Sturbridge Tourist Association. They're supporting the project. We will have a website off of our Trek Sturbridge page that will be, we want people to go online and let us know they found the acorn so we can keep track of them that way. We've reached out to Paul.
Gerard.
Right, thank you.
Fine Lines.
Fine Lines. He's actually going to make a wooden base to support the acorn. For those that find, they can just go to him, and if they want to, put it on a base, so it doesn't just roll all over the place, he'll be making it. And the wood for the base, we're going to harvest from all of those nice dead trees that have fallen across our trails. And so we'll be slabbing some of those larger ones up into boards that Paul can use to make the bases. So the bases will also be able to say it comes off of the Sturbridge Trails property. The STA is fully supportive of this and is looking forward to do the marketing of this outside of the community. And obviously, when we do our announcement, we'll be, hitting all of the social media and the local papers and what have you with that.
So they'll sit in a base?
For your home to present them, but.
Yeah, no, not out in the field.
Not on the trails.
Right, but Paul will make some kind of base. He hasn't made it yet, so we can't tell you exactly what it will look like, but
Great.
he'll be making some type of a base for it.
Lauren, you
Can I ask some questions? Yeah. So, so you said like the base, like for like the home, so like people will take them home?
Yeah, absolutely. So you find it, you take it home, you can display it however you want. You don't
Yes.
have to buy a base for it, but, it's just an idea that we had. You could display them like that, on a little tray on your windowsill. The people on Black Island, if you go to their website, it's unbelievable what some people have done. They have like these lit up shadow boxes that have, some people who have found like 2 or 3, and they have the trail that they found it on, and it lights up, and, it's elaborate, but they're really coveted.
Nice. And after the summer is over, if they are leftover acorns in the trails, are they going to be recovered?
They'll stay, and maybe people will find them next year.
They're
So-
weatherproof.
Yeah, they're weatherproof, and, for instance, the glass floats, there's some that people find now that have been there for 5 years and just being discovered.
Interesting.
So our task is to endorse it, we don't have to approve anything, right?
No.
What?
We do not have to approve anything.
No,
There's no vote required now. It's more so if the commission has any concerns about how this project may impact matters under our jurisdiction. I see none. We've been very conscious of the design, how far off the trail they're going. Obviously, they're not going to be hiding them in the middle of vernal pools or anything.
No,
so.
absolutely not, and not near any water.
Very beautiful.
I mean, we'll know where we place them so that, if one doesn't get found,
We can move it.
we can either move it or verify that maybe it was found and nobody recorded it, that they
Correct.
found it,
Yeah.
what have you.
We're going to keep track of where everything is.
Yep. And then this will repeat every year. So we're hoping that the program, this year, we're just starting with 50 acorns on 2 properties, the Lead Mine and the Heinz Farm. And as we finish more trails on our other properties, we'll be expanding this program onto the other properties. But right now, 50 acorns on the 3 trails on the Heinz Farm, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trails on the Lead Mine property. And they're the trails that are basically pretty well done in place. We won't be putting any on 7 Ridges because we're still in the middle of constructing that and what have you. So
Okay, great. Anybody in the audience interested in addressing this? All right. Yes, go ahead.
I think it sounds fascinating, but I don't know if I missed it. How are people gonna know about this? What is the advertising publicity to let people from out of town know about the?
Well, we're going to do a press release. We're going to start with that. So that'll certainly get people from around here to know about it, and there'll be some signs up on the at the trailheads. But we're going to definitely do a lot of social media stuff. So you're going to see us posting. People are going to be posting when they find something. So hopefully they'll show a picture of maybe where they found it and the date and everything, and then we can share that information on the Facebook page. And I think that that's generally where people, when people are going to go visit a town. But we're also going to put flyers up in town, and we're going to work on a video as well.
With the acorn, there is not a piece of information, a tag that
No.
says do this.
No,
Or
there isn't, but on the sign, there will be a QR code so that you can, if you find the acorn, you can scan it and you know exactly where you're gonna go to register it.
The outside of town marketing, our Sturbridge Tourist Association, which has a budget, and they do right now promote the town in a lot of outside markets from New York, Connecticut. They've even reached further out. They also partnered with Discover Central Mass, and so they have fully endorsed this. And as we develop the press release and the posters, we'll be sharing that with Terry, our Economic Development Director, and that advertising, the pictures of the acorns, the promotion of that outside of the area will be handled by the Sturbridge Tourist Association. So it will be marketed outside of the area.
Can I get your name and address for the record? Nancy Mongery, I'm on the.
Sorry, she just asked me.
Oh, yeah, Nancy Mongery, Mangari.
While she's doing that, if anyone has not signed in, please make sure that you sign in at the front.
Thank you.
23 Florentine
All right, anything else? Sounds great.
Okay.
I don't think you really need to advertise it. All of my children know about it. So they're gonna be out there on July 1st.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, we should have a little party July 1st. Maybe we will. It's a good idea to have a little party July 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, ribbon cutting, yeah.
Thank you very much for your doing.
If you talk nice to Brandon, he might let you know where one's hid.
That's not something I'm gonna do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
All right, we're on our 6 o'clock public hearing. We're a little bit behind schedule.
6 o'clock cannot open, so we'll move to.
All right, we're gonna catch up fast.
6:10.
Failure to advertise, huh? All right, so we are now at 6:10. Okay, open the public hearing. Notice of intent for 11, 12, and 13 Village Green, the owner Sturbridge Hills Condo Trust, Salisbury Management, applicant Glenn. You're here.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
How you doing? Okay. All right, go ahead.
Thank you again. Glenn Kowalski from EBT Environmental Consultants, and Mr. Seth Davis, the contractor to build the wall. We did read your detailed agenda. It is, and there's the wall system.
Great.
So if I could again, thank you through the chairman. If you're going to the DPW yard, this is the side road up to the, I think we'll call it condo units, townhouses. You might be familiar, top of the Knob Hill, Sturbridge Hill. And so originally when they built it, it appears they built these walls out of wood, which are rotting, brought out by your agent. And there's been a program or design to replace those walls with block walls, structurally designed. I talked to Mr. Davis today, and they did go to the planning. I should well, I can say it, we went to planning, and then planning said go to the conservation, get it approved before they'll fully approve it. This is, again, structurally designed. There was some question in the detailed agenda about sewer and water. Mr. Davis said that there's a requirement in the contract that DigSafe be obviously contacted and ensure that we know where sewer and water is and that we're avoiding it. As far as the wetland system, which I delineated, it is across the street, down a steep slope. There's actually ledge outcrop, and the wetland it's an interesting wetland system. That initial A series, it's where prior to 1988, where you could detain water in a wetland, which is now forbidden under the regulation as of '88. So there's a dam down there, and the water from this hill went down into the wetland, which they built a dike across and an outflow structure. So just to make a point, you don't see these too often anymore. I've got a couple in Worcester, but that's the third one I know of in this area. It does have a lower level outflow, and it flows into wetland systems that flow away from Main Street. And I'll just get a north arrow and I'll be finished talking to that. It flows in a southern direction, this wetland.
Yeah. Everybody, I think everybody's seen it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Pretty simple replacement.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to take those trees out?
The tree issue, could I, through the chairman, Mr. Davis?
Sure, yes, we would prefer to. Putting in this new structure, we don't want to disintegrate or erode anything that's there to cause further issues down the line. Everything that's been flagged needs to come down so that we can do what we have to do properly and have longevity from the project.
If I could, Chair, as you know, on the plan, we did show the native plantings, bushes, and trees. Mr. Levesque put together this plan. But, again, the blocks, that part of the plan was stamped by a structural engineer, so that we have two different stampers on this project. So the native bushes we would normally look at, and it could be, we didn't specify, let me see, did we specify? Yes. Planting schedule. They have blue spruce, balsam fir, white pine. If there's any question on what the total native bushes to be placed, so those are the trees, and we did not specify the species to be replaced, but we would obviously use native and generally winterberry for a forage crop, male and female, and hazelnut, another forage crop, and any other suggestions that the commission might have. But we do use also northern arrowwood, even though it's fact white, it grows well in these conditions. Similar to the winterberry, we've had questions before, but they're used throughout landscaping on front yards, banks. They have no problem living well in an upland situation, which fact wet allows for 1/3 of the time to live in the upland. That's what fact wet means. 2/3 of the time in the wetland, 1/3 of the time in the upland. So we would defer to the conservation agent if there's any questions on the species we're using, but they will be native.
Yeah. Any questions? None? Anybody in the audience? All right, thank you very much.
We thank you, sir.
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Right.
Carsten Stüber in favor.
What?
We close the public
Public
hearing.
hearing? Do I have a second?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all? Dave?
Carsten Stüber in favor.
San Germain in favor.
Nathan Lane in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor. So we got,
Eric Gaspar in favor.
great.
Thank you again
I
for
forgot,
your time.
like-
Thank you.
Eric, so in regards to the project DEP file number 300-1232, I make the motion to waive for the construction of a new structure within the 50-foot buffer.
Second. Second.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Carsten Stüber in favor.
San Germain in favor.
Would you like me voting tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Nathan Lane in favor?
Yep.
Eric Gaspar in favor?
And Ed Goodwin in favor. Yep.
Again, thank you for your time.
We have like a couple more. Sorry. We are a little bit slow today. In regards to the project DP file number 300-1232, I make the motion to approve the project pursuant to the Wetland Protection Act with the conditions as noted on the draft order of conditions.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor?
San German in favor.
Nathan Lane in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor.
And the last one with regard to the project, DEP file, 11-12-13 Village Green, DEP file 300-1232. I move to approve the project and issue an order of conditions pursuant to the Sturbridge Wetland Protection by law with the conditions as noted on the draft order of conditions and security bond of $2,000.
Second.
Second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor?
San German in favor.
Nathan Lane in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Yep.
very
Thank
much,
you.
everyone.
Take care.
Okay. We are now up to 6:20. Notice of intent for 355 New Boston Road. Randy Bercume, the applicant, Scott Jordan, Ecotech, DEP file number. Do you have a file number?
You have it.
Yes, we do have a file number.
I wrote it on that Post-it for you, Ed.
Oh, it was on that piece of paper? Okay, good.
And Scott is with us remotely today.
All right.
Good evening, folks. Scott Jordan from Ecotech. I think Mr. Bercume sounds like he's in the crowd. This project is a single-family house project. The property is located at 355 New Boston Road, which is near the corner of Lane 9. The property has frontage out to South Pond. Ecotech delineated the wetlands on the site a couple months ago. I know a few folks were out for the site walk the other day. Basically, the northern portion of the site, there's a wooded swamp, which is drained by a intermittent stream, which trails off site to the north. We also delineated the bank of South Pond in the western portion of the site. The project is a single-family house, which is outside of the buffer zone. We have a driveway coming off of New Boston, which is just barely in the 100-foot buffer zone, and a little bit of grading for that driveway. The bulk of the driveway is outside of the buffer zone. So the work within the 100-foot buffer zone is some grading for the house area and driveway and a small portion of the driveway. Also, western portion, there's an existing cart path down to South Pond, which Mr. Bercume uses his golf cart to shuttle his parents down to. And he would like to notch out a little turnaround. This, as you can see with the grades on the plan there, it's fairly steep, and he can't back up that golf cart. So he'd like to just notch out a little turnaround there. It's just within the 100-foot buffer zone, outside of the 50. Require about a 7-foot tall cut, and would be stabilized with riprap. Based on some comments we had at the site walk, we've made some revisions, and I believe that's the revised plan that Lauren's showing. We added infiltration system for the roof runoff in front of the house. We've added some stormwater management for the driveway. We're pitching the driveway southwestward into the hillside. So any runoff will be pitched away from the slope towards the wetland. We'll grab that with a swale, which will drain to the northwesterly direction. If it makes that far, it can then drain in a westerly direction. There's a natural shallow depression over there, which that runoff could infiltrate in a larger storm situation. So we have a natural area there to infiltrate. Soils out here have a great perk rate, very sandy, so that should manage any stormwater concerns for the driveway, which portion will probably be paved, possibly all of it. I don't think Mr. Beerkiam's sure yet, but either way, we can manage that, keep that totally away from the wetlands. It'll be in the sort of the southwestern corner. There was some discussion of the permanent markers at the limit of the lawn. I think that your standard template for order of conditions states that they should be put at the 50-foot setback, which is quite a large property. What is this, Randy, like 12 acres or something?
Yeah, total, it's a little over 10.5 acres. The new lot will be 8.5 acres.
So setting them into this site is forested, so setting that many well into the forest really wouldn't, and I totally understand the commission's reasoning for those. We see those in many towns. Really wouldn't make sense if you want to limit the encroachment of the lawn area, which you could see the sort of the straight line that's wrapped around the grading area. That'll be our erosion control barrier. So we're seeking some clarification on what the commission might want there for markers, if any. And I think that was it. That was that's the proposal, and that was the one question I wanted to throw out right away.
Start with you.
After discussing with Scott, I don't have any concerns about removing the requirement for the markers because the limit of clearance is even further from the 50-foot buffer. Usually with projects that they're clearing up to the 58 buffer consistently all the way around, that's usually when they find the most appropriate. But if you look at where those areas actually are, it's so limited for where it's actually touching. I would just stick with our normal condition that I have on here of erosion control verification, because the erosion controls are serving as the limit of clearing. So we received that verification from the surveyor saying that the erosion controls were placed where they're supposed to be. We know for certain that they're not encroaching anywhere beyond what has been approved. And that should satisfy.
Thank you.
Eric?
The only question I had, because, well, I was in Texas on Monday and couldn't go on the site, the reason for the turnaround inside of the 100-foot, I mean, that's quite a long pathway. Is the terrain as such that it can't go outside the 100-foot and has to be just inside the 100-foot? Or was there a different reason for placing it in that area?
I could actually.
Randy, would you mind tackling that one if you're?
Sure. So the reason why it's placed where it is because if I went just a little bit further, there's a tree that would most likely need to be removed. And just by sliding it down a little bit, it's just a bank and there's no tree removal or anything. It's just the soil that would have to be removed and retained. So that was the reason. Okay.
That was my only question based on, I have no additional concerns.
Start over with you, Carson? I'm fine.
Yeah, fine too.
I'm good. I had a couple of questions. So the actual turnaround, is it going to be a full turnaround, or is you going to, you said you can't back your go-kart up at all?
You can't right now, and it just digs up the path. So you'd have to.
No, I'm not saying that. Does your go-kart back up?
It has reverse.
What? It has reverse?
Yeah, it has reverse. Yeah, it's a golf cart, yep.
Like, as far as, can you bring that dig up where they're digging down. All right,
Turn around.
so now, we come down the hill. The older I get, the less I like old people. So you're gonna take it to that side,
It's essentially just large enough to do a three-point turn.
yeah. Tell me about that. What,
Well, it will now be large enough for a three-point turn. Right now, it's not.
So essentially, I want to drive down because it's dangerous to
and
back
if
down.
you do a pull-in, so you can park it, and then when you come out, you back it out.
I could back it out down the hill and then drive back
How
up.
high is the wall gonna be that you're gonna,
It's probably going to be 5 feet at the highest point of the back wall,
and what are you gonna make it out of?
either railroad timbers or brick pavers.
Anything higher than 4 feet requires a building permit,
Yeah.
just so you're aware too.
Okay, yeah, well, I don't know that I'll have to go 4 feet, because I don't think I need to go in that far to get, because the path itself is almost 8 feet wide now.
Yeah.
So it might only be 3 or 4 feet, just enough to turn.
I'm just putting it on record because I don't wanna go down there and find 5 cars down there parked
No,
side by side. That's not a hyperbole, I've seen it.
yeah, I only have one golf cart, the only one that uses the
That's
path.
one thing, and then the other thing is you've sold off your existing house.
Not yet, it's for sale.
So now they are going to have to come before us to get access to the lake.
If they choose to eventually, I'd imagine that they probably, whoever buys the house would want to do that.
I don't know anybody that would buy a house on a lake and not
Exactly.
want access to it.
Yeah,
So how much frontage do you have, did you have on? the-
75 feet.
You had 75 feet, and you
There's
took.
50 on the new lot and 25 remaining.
I'm talking to the applicant. So the new lot has how many feet with it?
50 feet.
50 feet?
Right.
Yeah, and so you've kept 25.
No, the new lot would be the lot, the 355 New Boston Road, so that would be my new house, and that would have 50 feet.
That has 50 feet.
And 25 will go with my existing house that I'm
And
selling.
25 goes with the existing house?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Is there any access that you've seen that they could have that's there now?
There is somewhat of an access. I walked down it the other day. I mean, you can walk down, but eventually when you get to the drop-off, there's Laurel, so that would have to be removed, and stairs would have to be built down.
Okay.
Probably not like what I have, probably actual stairs, but I didn't design anything, so I don't know.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? No? Anybody in the audience like to speak? Go ahead. Come up to a mic. Yep.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Doug Vizard, Lane 10. I should sign in. I will. I'm more than a little concerned about infiltration into South Pond in general. Historically, there are swales that go into South Pond. We used to call that major swale Reedy's Swale. In heavy rains and wet years, there have been torrents of water coming down. And we worry about that in general in South Pond. There are several places that of worry. Certainly South Shore Drive has problems. Maybe Tantasco Drive has problems. How those problems are related, I don't know. I don't know how they're classified. But Concom certainly should be concerned about any infiltration in the South Pond. When I look at that map under a magnifying glass, my eyes aren't too good these days.
We can bring it up any place you wanted to.
Well, the final slope is a 30 to 40% grade,
Yep.
at least when I count the lines. That's a lot. Even a golf cart vehicle might not make it. For the new owner on a path like that, that's at least problematic. Any disturbance is going to be aggravating. I don't know how much material you'd be pulling out, or the care that would be taken in doing so, or the repair afterwards. There's no, when I look at what you did with regard to the step stairs of timber and a stone course that would seemingly absorb water, that may be barely adequate, but in a big rainstorm, I would anticipate that the existing wetlands that are just below the new construction that happened between lane 8 and 9 already have probably, rumor has it, demonstrably produced more silt emanating from that area and headed towards the Reedy Swale. Management of water in that entire area is a problem existing, has existed for years, and perhaps is not properly managed. I just plead with the Concom to pay extra attention to the problems that exist there. The swale that's on my property over in Lane 10 is properly managed, and I put in a lot more effort in making absolutely sure to minimize any problems there. Any disturbance of the ground. Even when I was constructing that home on Lane 10, following all of the Concom rules, what they instructed me to do disturbed the natural hemlock mulch that prevented problems. Anyway, that land is all healed. Much less water comes down there. I manage it with drainage in the parking lot. Or further managed it. Even the folks over in Lane 8, Carl Nielsen and neighbor, went through extra effort to manage quite a bit of water that came down through their area. Further up in East Brookfield, they have problems too. So all I'm doing is I'm urging, please, manage the infiltration into South Pond better than you're doing now. Any questions?
I have a comment.
Anybody have any questions?
Ed, I don't have one of him, but I would like to ask a follow-up question about Lot 2-1 and access, because one of the reasons why I didn't have an issue with this project and the path is that there is an existing path there, right? But I had not considered, as part of this project, that there would be a request coming for a subsequent future path. And we should probably discuss whether or not we feel that this project and this subdivision would cause a hardship that we need to discuss now and get on record, and how we would deal with that in the future. And I know that they are somewhat separate issues, but they are absolutely impacted on one another when it comes to that, because if we were talking about two paths through that narrow section, I think it's a different calculus than one path that is, I know it's not taking the same pathway, but it's already creating some runoff down that pathway through the existing path, but two would be an order of magnitude greater. So what, could we get some discussion around that? And could we get some guidance possibly on that from your perspective, Lauren?
Just so it's noted, the lots are already divided, and the planning board did endorse the A&R. I don't know if it's a discussion that absolutely should be had as far as what's being allowed for lake access, because we are seeing it everywhere that there are a lot of houses that have lake access, and then there are others that don't, and people that want the same access. Some people have green lawns and sand beaches, and some people just have a simple cart path, and everyone wants what their neighbor has. As far as what was created, since the lots are already created and we don't have any jurisdiction over the division of lots, I don't know if there's any action that can be taken for this. I think it was considerate that he took his existing cart path, but it does it's essentially, if the new property owner for his lot that he currently resides in wants access, it's going to be up to them to try and get that access or work on some type of lake easement with a neighbor or something of that. Legally, I don't know what we could require as far as forcing someone to do that. It kind of just comes down to that.
This was subdivided from the same parcel at a certain point. So my question is not necessarily, has it been done yet? It's more, has that action by this subdivision of a common owner now created a hardship that this next owner, if they were to bring this to us, we have to account for? Like, there's nothing in front of us, so we can speculate that we would just, we would consider it. But if it's a hardship item because we have subdivided this in a way that there's a sliver of property that you can get down there, and we wouldn't ordinarily permit it, then that, I think we just need to be declarative, or at least put some guidance on that so everybody's aware. So in 6 months or a year or 6 years, somebody says, I'd like to have access and I'd like to put in a path, we've at least put on the record our position on that. That's my only point of bringing it up, because that was not something I considered. So thank you, Ed, for bringing it up. We've been pretty declarative around creating our own hardships, and this looks like the textbook definition of something we should pay attention to. That's why I want to bring it up now, just to make sure we have the proper discussion.
We do get these in our office. We do get these questions frequently. There's actually another property on the same lake that is being sold that does not have lake access, and the new property owner is going to be requesting lake access. So when those calls come to our office and we're kind of fielding that question, I do point out the 25-foot no disturb and the 50-foot no new structure, and that's kind of just where it stands, that it's up to the commission on that decision. And I think that when we're trying to guide people into planning these types of projects, that they should be guiding it with keeping in mind that whatever they're proposing, trying to do it with the least amount of impact as possible.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I just wouldn't want to not bring it up as a topic of discussion, especially since Ed already did previously, that, you know, in the event there was a discussion around that was the next logical step, it should be considered that it's going to be looked upon very critically for what is being accessed, because this essentially would be doubling the impact in that very narrow section of property. But again, I still don't have a problem with the project in general, but I would have an issue with a second bite at the apple.
Anybody else?
That's all I have, Ed. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Can I speak for a second?
Sure.
So the path that is my existing path has been there, I believe, for 40, 45 years. And when I first bought it, I think you all know, the path was washing out. It was never maintained. So we went ahead and we got the permission, we put the proper drainage, pitched, and all the riprap rock that goes down there now, and significantly decreased, and it hasn't eroded in 3.5 years now. And as far as the new path, I don't have a crystal ball, so I'd assume whoever buys my house is gonna wanna do it. But the way that the land goes, all of that water, until you get probably to the 50-foot mark where the stairs would need to be, pitches to the right to the existing path anyway. It wouldn't even go to the lake before it made it to my existing path.
If you sell a car and they get in an accident in your car, you're not responsible. It's the same thing. You've sold, you know, the only thing that we can look at here is what you're doing.
Right.
And as far as, you know, and you're right, I looked at the stone that you put in there. I would have put it in at half the size of what you put in.
That's what was required. That's what I was
Was it-
told. Yeah, I don't like it. It's a lot.
But, no, no, I have no problem with the project. And when we go forward, if you're, whoever buys the property from you, don't promise them anything, because they have to come before us, and they will have a problem. They'll get access, I would assume, by the way the pattern, and frontage, how much they can cut. It's like 10 feet, I think it's like 10 feet that they can make for swimming area, et cetera, but, that, you know, Dave Mitchell used to say all the time, if you want to protect the lake, move away from it. If you want to move toward it and use it, that's what we do as men.
I would imagine any new path wouldn't be 10 feet wide.
What?
I'd imagine any new walking path on the,
Oh, no, swim area, cleared at the lake.
yeah.
I wasn't talking about that.
When you step down off of, right now, there's no beach there. You step off whatever stair, even my steps, the water's there.
Yeah,
There is no swimming area. You're in the lake. Sometimes there's 10 feet,
Yeah.
sometimes there's none.
yeah, no.
And that's what it
I've
would
had
probably be.
A lot of familiarity with Tassie property next to it.
Yep.
So I know what it does up and down.
Mhm.
So, yeah. No, the inside goes out.
A comment, we haven't had a good gully washer in the last 4 years.
Excuse me?
We haven't had a good gully washer in the last 3 or 4 years.
That's,
You have to go back more than 4 years.
there isn't a quote gully washer law. We're living with the Wetland Protection Act.
Yeah, and we're living with South
He's
Pond.
managing his business to the Wetland Protection Act, where he's put the site, the house isn't, could be, 14 feet from the water's edge, the way that people are dealing these days. So it's a good site, he's using the lake, and, I'm not gonna sit here and profess that I'm delighted that there are more houses on the lake. I'm never more, but that's the way it is. And if they don't get to build one in an open area, then they tear down one and build it twice as big in the spot that it's in. You've seen it, you know it as well as I do, you know. So.
Should we
Anybody
make a
else?
motion? Anyone else?
I just want to add one comment from a concerned abutter that called, that was essentially just being conscious of the fauna that you are clearing by the transmission lines. So it's outside of the buffer, but.
Yeah, okay.
Can we get the DEP number?
Ed has it on the post-it.
Yeah.
Or can you give me the DEP number, please?
Where did it go? Hold on. We do have the DEP number, and it is,
I might pull it up faster.
Oh, there is a one.
I've got it right here. It's 300-1236.
1236.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. So in regards to the project at 355 New Boston Road, DEP file number 300-1236, I make the motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? Anybody in the audience like to speak on this? Seeing none? All in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
St. Germain in favor?
Nathan Lane in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor. All right,
Eric Gaspar in favor.
great.
In regards to the project at 355 New Boston Road, DEP file number 300-1236, I make the motion to approve the project pursuant the Wetland Protection Act with the conditions noted on the draft order of conditions.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
St. Germain in favor?
Carsten?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Nathan Lane in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Okay.
Great.
So in regards to the project at 355 New Boston Road, DEP file number 300-1236, I made the motion to approve the project and issue an order of conditions pursuant to the storage wetland bylaw with conditions noted in the draft order of condition and a security bond of the amount of $2,500.
Second.
Any discussion? How about the bond? Do you think the bond is enough for what we have going?
We have those
It's based off the
listed.
proximity of the wetlands, so that's standard what we've done for
Yeah.
one of this far, but.
It's a long driveway.
It's the turnaround.
What?
He said it's a long driveway.
What?
I was repeating your comment. I don't know
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
understood.
okay. All right,
Carsten Stuber in favor.
St. Germain in favor?
Nathan Lane in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor.
You got
I think that's it.
That's it?
Yeah. That's
Thank
all
you.
what I have.
Thank you for your time.
All right.
Please tell me if I
Now,
forget
we
to.
are now at
Tell me if I forget to do any
30.
motion.
136 Podunk, a notice of intent.
Cannot open the hearing, failure to advertise. I request moving to item 9. if we
All
may.
right. All right.
Well, you're doing terrific on the motions. Don't sell yourself short.
Thank you. We miss you.
We're going to skip to 9.
To 6. Oh.
We're gonna bounce a second,
And find it, yeah.
second on the agenda.
Tonight?
Sorry.
Well, 105 Short
Yep.
Road. Owner, we have a notice of intent, and it's an Ecotech, so that we're trying to help out with that. Somebody representing them here?
Scott's virtual.
Yes, Scott Jordan from Ecotech. Thank you very much for jumping ahead for me. I have to jump to another meeting here shortly. This is a very simple project, folks. This is a very small, older lake home on a very small lot on Cedar Lake. And we're proposing a well in the front yard, in front of the house, as far from Cedar Lake as we can get. By the way, I delineated the bank of the pond, very obvious. We are clearly outside of, we're outside of the 25, the 50-foot setbacks. We're just barely in the 100-foot buffer zone. It's going to be right in front of the house. We have a erosion control barrier and a small sump pit for, the drilling mud that may come up, the grindings. These folks do not have their own well. They've been, for God knows how long, tapped into the well on the existing property to the north, which is on the page right. We're simply going to cut and cap the line to the house from that well, which is a shallow well, and we'll dig them a deep well out front.
Right? Anything from you?
I had no concerns. The only modification, I think, was that the Board of Health doesn't require an as-built for a well. I don't see the need to have an additional expense for an as-built. We just do an inspection and verify the location.
Okay,
That would be my only modification to the draft order.
all right.
I'm okay.
Anybody in the audience like to speak to this? Seeing none?
Okay, so I will make this, in regards to the project at 105 Shore Road, DEP file number 300-1235, I made a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right. Any discussion at all? All in favor?
Carsten Stüber in favor.
St. Germain in favor?
Nathan Lane in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor.
In regards to the project at 105 Shore Road, DEP file number 300-1235, make the motion to approve the project pursuant to the Wetland Protections Act with the conditions noted in the draft order of conditions.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Carsten Stüber in favor.
St. Germain in favor?
Nathan Lane in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Great.
Regarding to the project at 105 Shore Road, DEP file number 300-1235, I make the motion to approve the project and issue an order of conditions pursuant to the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw with the conditions noted in the draft order of conditions and a security deposit of $1,000.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Carsten Stüber in favor.
St. Germain in favor?
Nathan Lane in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor.
All right. We are now up to 6:30.
Thank you very much.
Notice of intent for 136 Podunk Road. We have failure to advertise, so that will not be opening. Going to number 5. Notice of intent for 241 and 245 Main Street, Sturbridge Service Center, request to continue until June 5th.
Should we make a motion for that?
Yeah, we're gonna have to make a motion
Okay.
for that.
So in regards to the project at 241 and 246 Main Street, DEP file number 300-1184, I make the motion to continue the public hearing to June 5, 2025.
Yeah.
Second.
Having a second discussion, Lauren, how is that gonna fit in with who will vote and who won't at the next meeting? How many eligible people are we gonna have on this?
Right now, 3.
We have 3, and they're me, and
Eric and Karsten.
Eric and Carson, and
Oh, so they're not gonna.
Eric, you gonna be at the meeting on the 5th?
I'm supposed to be, yeah.
Take it back.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
Flora's actually gonna have to revoke her motion because she can't vote on that one.
I revoke the motion because I cannot make it.
Oh, you can't?
So we wait for
All right, we'll
Eric.
start again. Well, we're gonna have to wait for Carson then.
Well, with regards to DEP file number 300-1184, I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until June 5th, 2025.
All right, now can we do that without eligible voters? because we only have 3 and one of them is in the bathroom.
He'll come back.
We wait.
He just needs to second it, Ed, when he
All right, I
comes
second
back.
it. I do second it,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, then 2-1 carries, right? Of 3 eligible, it's a simple
No,
majority
the
for
majority is
continuation.
required.
Laura, note that on the next one, you can't vote either.
Yes.
I did add that to the detailed of who is ineligible.
Yeah, thank you.
Carson, we are on 241 to 245 Main Street. He's asked for a continuation. You, Eric, and I are the only ones who can vote on it. Eric made the motion for the continuation. I seconded it. So now we're going to vote on it. All in favor?
Carsten Stüber in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor.
And Ed Goodwin in favor. All right, thank you. All right, now we are at notice of intent for 263 New Boston Road. The owner is Five Star Realty Trust, applicant representative. What do you got for us?
Drought. So thank you, Commissioner Glenn Kowalski, BT Environmental. We had stated earlier in hearings that we were waiting for biological zero to come about, which is the first or second week of April. 42 degrees, 19.7 inches down. If there's no water table there, then you can prove that you don't have hydrology. We have a report from CMG hydrologists showing that, or his statements in his report, that using USDA drainage analysis for farmers which drain fields, and it basically, it says if you have a hydrologic soil group A, this coarse Merrimack it's Hinckley soil. And then if you put a 35-foot deep cut, which is the gravel pit to our west, and how far up gradient then would it drain the land? Because that's what farmers do, is drain their fields across the country so that they could understand that. But because we were still in the drought until May 8th, when it was a critical drought 2 months ago, and then it was a slight drought, and now Worcester County's out of the drought. But it's too late to use groundwater information to show you don't have hydrology. Why did we want to show that? Because under the regulation, you need soils, vegetation, and hydrology in order to have a wetland. We're showing that we have 77% upland plants. Your consultant peer reviewer disagreed with the plant utilization. And so we went forward with a hydrologist to do that work. Now we see that there's another $3,600 for his review of the CMG report, which we were trying to avoid by using biological zero, which I just explained we can't, at least until next year, another year on the project. Or we move forward to delineate what Mr. Faniff has delineated, the narrow ravine at the bottom of the slope, and did come through saying that if this was delineated and we put a pipe underneath the drive and obviously replicate on the 1055 4B 1 through 7, 310 CMR. So next week we're having the surveyor pick up the Brandon Faniff pink flags in that narrow orange, the top, yellow, excuse me, that narrow area, and show a replication area, and move forward with this plan, again, to replicate adjacent to the lost area. We will say that, yes, in '07, this land was cut up. The town eventually got the park land. We can also say that on another project that you had in front of you, 6 Picker, we are in the policy for using 1053-3E to gain access to property, that we couldn't use that, but within the selling off of property, this is the crux, selling off property that then forces you to have to cross a wetland. I still don't agree it's a wetland. we're conceding only to avoid another year. But if you sell off a piece of property to, and that could have been used as access to the upland property, then under, and this was brought out with Six Picker, then it is the, it's stated that it's the Conservation Commission that's supposed to be telling the applicant, hey, you're selling off property that could be used as upland access. That didn't happen in this case, it didn't happen in the Six Picker case, and eventually Six Picker went forward. And that was one of the reasons. So we'll bring up that in the future just to show you again the language. But at this point, in 1 week, within a week, I just talked to Mr. Jason Dubois, and Jeremy out of that association would be picking up again those flags and coming up with that square footage. It's pretty narrow, it's only 5 or 7 feet wide, and showing a replication of wetland. And we're asking then for a continuance to give us time. And again, that's why I made that call. I've been pushing him and Mr. LeBlanc to push him also to get this plan in front of you. So I would ask that we have a continuance to your next meeting to present that plan and show what it looks like. It is 10.4 acres, and it is a single house. We also have offered to, lastly, to stop the head cut that's draining this wetland where the gravel pit occurred, and then that's dropping of land. That steep drop is now head cutting as the water flow from across the street of New Boston is causing head cut. And we've offered to do a CR on the rest of the property, and along with restoring a vernal pool that's on, if you're standing on the road facing in the front left property, there's a pool that's filled with organic that came in from that creek that comes off the hill, which does avoid the pool now. It's just barely so that we'd be able to create a pool or take the mud out, and that would give a pool back. So we're offering, I believe, 3 provisions, 3 mitigations to possibly allow this to go forward. And lastly, to say it one more time, we're asking for a continuance.
So you're looking for a continuation?
Yes, sir.
Glad to hear that. Motion?
Oh.
For continuation?
We don't discuss anything before? Will you put in a culvert in the?
If I could, through the chairman, Mr. Fianiff did say he wanted a pipe there. And so we're going to follow what his.
Give me like 4 things you're gonna do, right?
Oh, there's a
You're gonna have to
pipe.
bring us those, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All on the plan.
And you can bring the culvert at the same time.
Oh, that'll be on the plan because he wanted to see that connection in his report. So, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to visit the site again, like next site
You
visit?
can't vote.
Yeah.
Sorry?
You can't vote.
Oh, I cannot vote, but I can but I can look at the site.
But the answer is yes.
I can give my opinion.
Through the chairman. I'd love to show you.
All right,
If I may,
motion
I
to
think it would-
continue.
I'll say if I may, it might make sense to do a site visit once the area's been reflagged and you mark out the location of the vernal pool, because we would want to see the
Right.
location of the vernal pool and the replication area.
Right.
And maybe the head cut in, and also when we have the plan in hand.
Yeah,
Yes.
Plan in hand. Okay. Thank you again for that time.
thank you.
Thank you.
Continuation to June 5th.
June 5th.
So moved.
Eric moved it,
Second.
second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Carsten Stüber in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor. All right, we are
Appreciate it.
on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you very much, Eric.
Notice of intent for 71 Mashpog Road. And this is, you have a letter asking for a continuation?
Correct.
Okay. So, we will not be opening 71 Mashpog Road. Motion to continue? What's in the letter as far as what is he saying is the reason for continuing?
So the plan revisions that they submitted were prepared before receiving the letter from the zoning enforcement officer.
Okay, so that's.
So they don't reflect.
No other details that we would want to, no? Okay.
So in regard to the project at 71 Mashpug Road, DEP file number 300-1224, I make the motion to continue the public hearing to June 5. Is that the next one? Yes.
Second.
Seconded? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Carsten
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor?
Saint Germain in favor?
Andy Lane in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor. Now, on Mashpog Road, how many voters are we holding now?
We have, Nate watched he's only missed one, he watched the meeting, we have the
Okay.
Mullins form.
So it's-
My recommendation, Nate continues to stay voting, so when we lose
Yeah,
Roy,
right,
we
right.
have 5.
So we'll have 5?
Correct.
Oh, good, all right.
Kane had a good time.
Yep. Continuation of notice of intent for 346 Lead Mine Road. Owner AJ Services LLC, applicant representative Dave Sadowski, DEP file number 300-1226. Project, it's a single-family home. Right?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members and public. My name is David Sadowski. I'm the principal of DJ and Associates, and I'm here representing Elias Montero and AJ Services at 346 Lead Mine. The last time we were here, we were asked to do several things. One, the Board of Health requested that we design a Presby-type septic system for this lot as compared to the stone and trench system that we had. There's less disturbance using the Presby system. That plan was completed, that plan was submitted and reviewed by the Board of Health. We also were asked about, to come up with some different concepts on the house itself. So the house previously was 50 feet long by 26 feet wide, and this current house is 36 feet long by 25 feet wide, so we've shrunk the house by 14 feet. We've moved the recharge back outside the 50-foot buffer zone. We've added additional plantings. We had 4 oak tree plantings previously, now we have 6. On the entranceway in, we've shown 3 plantings of red maples when we first come in. We have a straight-in access that we're going to have an easement on, even though we'll be entering the property through the required frontage down in that area there. You can see the replacement maples that would be put in. We only had 2 there before, we put 3. And up by this septic system itself, we've added another tree up in that area. And we have notes also that, we were going to put boulders in between to demarcate permanent demarcation of the buffer, place boulders between the maple trees, and also there's a plant a row of naturally occurring vegetation between the erosion control and the end of the boulders that were put in. Now, the thing that we're doing with the house is we want to put the house on piers. We did send some building permit plans. If I could approach the bench. Just for a color visual. This would be the view if you were in the wetland. There'd be 4 posts that you would see. The house would be elevated 9 feet off the ground, so as the house would not be in the wetland.
What is going to be under the house?
Yes, you can see, it'd be like as if you lived at the ocean, or if you lived in the Charles River. This is one that we did in the 100-year floodplain of the Charles River down in Norfolk. Similar one, but on this one, they left in, there's 2 rain barrels. There we recharged, because of drought, we thought it'd be better to use a rain barrel so that they'd be able to water vegetation, newly planted trees and such. Here we're doing recharge of the rooftop, but we'd be open to either with the drought conditions that have been happening. But the house would be up off the ground now, so there'd be a lot less of the area inside your 50-foot no-build. There would just be 4 posts at this point. The 2 sets of stairways, there was a 10-page set of architecturals that were submitted. The 2 stairways would be up on the backside, outside of the 50, so you wouldn't walk it down into the 50 either. The only thing that would be encroaching would be the 4 posts in the front. So I'm open to any questions.
What would be the surface under the house? The surface under the house?
Natural ground.
Natural ground. Okay.
So these are where the posts would be?
Yes, that's correct.
3 posts?
4, 1 at each corner and 2 in the middle. This is a similar house that we use in the Charles River 100-year floodplain down in Norfolk.
And is all the house under, on the piers or just the front part?
No, the whole house is on piers. That way we'll be able to better deal with the back up into the hillside that's coming down. We'll be able to adjust the pier to either have a 5-foot reveal, 3-foot reveal, or 7-foot reveal. The ones in the front, and we would still put the car underneath the house, so there would be no type of a garage asked for or anything like that. We would use the area underneath, and that would protect from the elements. It would also make a smaller area it would compound the area. So we've tried to shrink the house to make less area in there. We've saved more trees now, that 15-inch oak, the 20-inch pine, all those are now being, they won't need to be cut down. When the house was longer, those trees were in question. Now they'll be able to stay. Plus, we've added more trees at the 25-foot buffer and created what we think is a permanent demarcation of the buffer in that area. So we've tried to accommodate and try to move forward. Again, these lots were created in 1971. They haven't changed in size since then. That was before the town had any type of conservation. Massachusetts only enacted the Wetlands Protection Act in 1965. These lots were created in 1971. I think they were created, there's probably people in this room that weren't even born when these lots were created. And they've stayed. They've been in separate, not yourself and myself either, but I think there's
I was
other.
going to say, Ed was on the Conservation Commission at that point.
Yeah, I was. In fact, we looked at these lots and made them non-buildable back then, so, no, I'm kidding. So, we're going to build, we have a 50-foot no new build that we're going to build in.
Build over.
Well, you can look at it, it's, you know.
Mr. Chairman, I don't mean to speak out of turn. I'm just trying to be creative. The board asked to try to come up with something different. We can only go so far up into the hill. The slope is too steep. I believe everyone that's sitting here today was out on that site walk and saw the severity of the slope. If the slope wasn't there, we'd easily move the house back. We wouldn't even be here. I mean, other than, you know, to present a regular plan within the 100-foot buffer.
The Presby system that you're putting in.
Yes, sir.
That is being required by the town. Did the lot perk?
Yes.
So why are they requiring a Presby system?
I don't know. We had the regular system, and I think that Ken thought there would be less grading needed. We did have, at the time with the regular system, we're asking for an impervious barrier and a 4-foot retaining wall to help pull back finished grading. With the Presby, we don't have to do that. We can grade out to the proposed driveway area and still have the snow storage.
I can also answer that question.
I'm sorry.
I can answer that question. The, Ken's preference is that when new septic systems on undeveloped lots are going within 100 feet of a wetland, he likes to see some pre-treatment for the benefit of the wetland.
That's great.
Yeah, we should have gone to you, we went out of order, started talking. Want to weigh in on this?
I did share the plans with the building inspector. The building inspector is going to require engineered stamped plans, but there's going to have to be test pits done to show that the piers can be done before he can sign off on a building permit. So I don't know where that kind of puts us. At the end of the day, it's still in the 50, so the question still lays of a new structure going on an undeveloped lot within the 50-foot buffer. And I still have the concern of the trees on the ledge. They're all shallow root systems. They're not, a lot of them are not in the greatest shape, and I am concerned that once you clear for the house, all those trees are slowly going to come down, or we're going to see several requests over the next few years to take down more trees on the ledge, and eventually may as well just propose clear cutting the whole back end of the lot at that point.
Through the chair, I'd like to respond to that. I think the structural integrity of the hill would be compromised with the clear cutting of trees.
Will it be compromised?
Yes. If all those trees are cut down and there's no more root system or no active groundwater coming out of the ground, and the root system is compromised, being dead, I think the hill would become, it would cave in.
Given the slope that was like very pronounced, as you mentioned, do you think there will be a need of a retaining wall, or is it going to have some type of backyard near the slope that would require a retaining wall, or the slope is fixed enough that it will not affect the house?
That's an excellent question. If you look at the plan, right below where it says deck, which would allow for the stairs, it says retaining wall. There's a 4-foot retaining wall that will go in that area, so water coming down the hill, since we'll be natural ground underneath the building, will be, the wall comes across and then it comes 3 to 4 feet forward, right on the back of the, right in, if you go further down where it says retaining wall in the building envelope. Right on the backside there'll be a 4-foot retaining wall that won't allow water to come underneath the natural ground that's the suspended house in the air. That was thought of. And then there's an interceptor swale that's proposed above that to divert water to the sides.
Can I make a comment or ask a question
What? Yeah.
related to this? I don't know if there's already been precedent set in town in building within a 50-foot buffer in this fashion, but if not, especially with the change in the change related to ADUs as of recently, we're going to see a lot of creative propositions, and even beyond a primary house structure, would approving something like this put us in a situation in which secondary ADU structures are referenced to an approval that we made for this type of construction within a 50-foot buffer zone? Is this a precedent-setting thing that we need to be concerned about if we were to consider it, or has it already been set as a precedent?
We have considered it and rejected it on several occasions. I don't know if, Eric, were you on the board when they wanted to do over-housing over the lakes?
I don't believe that I recall that, Ed, but, I don't know that it changes the fact that we're still I know it's over, but we're still infiltrating the land inside the 50 foot, so I don't know that that changes the fact that we're putting a structure in there, regardless of which way we go about it. But my secondary concern is, Dave, I thought at first the pictures that were supplied as part of the plan showed the car to the side of the house, and you just mentioned that the cars are going to go under the house. It would seem to me then we are creating a situation for ourselves, and correct me if I'm wrong here, that we are going to have cars swing further inside of the 50-foot buffer, almost to the 25-foot buffer to then maneuver to park under the house. Am I looking at that correctly? That's number one. And number two is, I remember from our last discussion, there was one of the things that we talked about was looking at putting the house over by where the septic system is and putting the septic system over by where the house is to see if that was possible. Was that looked at?
Through the chair was looked at, but that area there wasn't conductive to a septic system. It did not get the percolation rate outside of the 50-foot like the regular septic system area did. And I'd like to answer on your first point that you brought up. If you look at the plan, where it says no foundation, then it says deck. Next to that, it says proposed drive backup, meaning you'd come out of the garage and back up further away from the wetland. I do believe that cars are allowed in the 25 to the 50. It's just the structure that isn't allowed there. But maybe I read the law or the language of the law wrong.
Well, I mean,
Could I be
Karsten and I have
corrected?
had plenty of debates over what a structure is, but if we're putting a roof over a car, I think we're getting into semantics at that point. But, so what you're claiming then is they're pulling in straight under the house on the narrow side of the house and not around the front of the house to the wide side of the house to go in between the pilings.
That's correct. If the architectural, if they did put one of those somewhere in the package, it was erroneous. There's no plan, there's no driveway shown in front of that house. It's only to go underneath and then back up next to the septic tank itself and the pump chamber, and then pull back out the 12-foot driveway.
But so basically it's a garage. It's basically garage underneath the house.
Through the chair, I don't want to break any rules. It's just like if you were in North Carolina playing golf and you pulled your car in underneath the house. If you wanted to call it a garage, you could, but all those houses are up on 8 or 9 foot piers for 100-year flood and FEMA flood information. It's the same type of a deal. These are just, the only thing is that right now, there's just 4 posts that are going into that area. I understand that the house is up above, it's a cantilever over it. But I was trying to be creative. I've cut down, you can see that 50-foot line, we're at 42 now. It's kind of blocked out. Before we were only 40 feet off the wetland, now we're at 42, so we pulled it 4 feet back. We've cut down the width from 26 to 25 to make it a manageable living area, and then 36 long. So that it would be 36 by maybe 9 feet that would overhang over that 36 by 8, because we're 42 off, that would hang over that 50. I mean, if I could put it into the hill, or if I could make it narrower, I would.
I give you points for creativity, Dave. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to. I'm with Nate. We have to be cognizant of not setting improper precedents and being fair. And there is such a thing as an unbuildable lot. Right, and so this might be one of those cases, and you got to give you credit for effort, but I also wouldn't be comfortable not getting further counsel and research for me from the agent to look into what the differential and the impact of this type of structure that you're proposing here versus a conventional structure with either a slab or a full cut basement would be. It seems semantical, like we're just circumventing the rule by drilling into the ground, which in and of itself is disturbing the ground and creating impact to me. But you know, I certainly don't want to make a snap decision on this, Dave. If you ask me to vote for this right now, I'd probably have to say no. But for me, if you give us a little bit of time and ask for a continuation on this and allow Lauren to maybe do some research for us on the impacts of structures like this that we can evaluate, for me, for my vote, that would be valuable to me. Just my 2 cents.
Through the chair, if I could just comment and the meeting continue. You know, we'd be open to a continuation, but I do want to say this, that I believe that this board handles on a case-by-case basis. It's not that if you grant it to someone, you have to give it to everybody. Because this is a special situation where it's a waiver. I mean, this is a situation where I've got a 40 to 5 foot cliff. I guess if somebody else came in with a 45-foot cliff with a wetland system in front of it and all the same parameters I have, a lot that's been around since 1971, then I guess you would have to vote for it. But other than that, you wouldn't have to follow precedent. You wouldn't be setting any type of a path where anyone could come in. Someone had a flat lot and they decided they didn't want to be 50 feet away, and they said, well, you can let him be 42, we want to be 42. They would have to meet all the different conditions to even be considered to go forward. I just want to say that that's precedent.
Yeah.
I just want to clear that up.
And you're doing a great job advocating for your client. There's no question around that. You got me thinking, whereas I didn't think that there was anything that could sway my opinion. So I give you credit for that, but I don't know that I would be in any position whatsoever for my vote to say yes to this tonight, if asked.
Could you park the car outside?
No, I think we're at a point here. we can give him a continuation, or if you ask for a vote, we can give him a vote. I think we,
Well, I'm just wondering,
I asked for a continuance.
right, but could you park the car outside the 50 foot?
Yes, what we could do is, in that area that shows proposed drive backup, we could actually have 2 cars up there outside the 50. They would just come in straight down the 12 and then back up and leave the car up in that area.
see, the thing is, that the car's coming in, the driveway's paved. It's paved underneath the house.
No, underneath the house is going to stay natural.
You're gonna drive the car into natural?
It seems to me it's constant disturbance.
I'm looking right here, I can see the line
Right.
going in.
I don't think the line continues in. I think the line severs at the building right
And
there.
those
Mr.
North
Chairman.
Carolina houses you're talking to me about are all paved underneath.
Again, we're not voting in North Carolina. The edge of the 12-foot driveway, you can see the dash line, it comes in right above the 8-inch oak. It disappears at that point, it does not continue. The only line that goes in under the building is the 50-foot buffer.
And the car goes under, right?
Well, ideally it could, but if you don't want it to, we wouldn't let it. We could put a door there, or we could put
Because it
something.
seems it's a constant disturbance of that area.
It's not going to have grass.
There,
because
there,
shaded
there,
is
there
gonna
could
be
be lattice work put there where it wouldn't allow car to go under. That could be one of the specifications. I mean, again, I tried to get things done so they would be to you a week before, like, you know, the submitted materials have to be. We had to design another septic system, and we had to come up with a whole new house to put on the lot. We moved the recharge area. We thought about the retaining wall because it was brought up floor by you before. So that's why we put the retaining wall up there at 5 feet down the sides and then across the back. So, I mean, and then we added additional tree plantings, we added boulders, we added a permanent demarcation of the buffer. You know, we're trying to be as accommodating as possible. And we're not trying to set any type of a precedent. I don't think you're gonna have another lot comes in that was made in the beginning of the 70s, that's got a cliff, that's got a wetland system, that has all these things, and has been paying taxes since 1970 as a buildable
All right,
lot.
would you like a continuation, or would you like a vote?
I would like a continuation.
All right.
Is that possible?
Yep, that is possible.
Okay.
Motion?
So in regards to the project at 346 Leadmine Road, the EP file number 300-1226. I mean the correct one?
Yeah.
Sorry. I make the motion for a continuation of the public hearing to June 5.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor?
Central Line in favor?
Eric, you're in favor, right?
He said in favor.
Sorry, Eric Gaspar in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening to me. I sometimes ramble. I'm an engineer.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, we are now, we've done 9. And now we are at
Oh, will the June 5th meeting be in this building or?
across the street. We think, you know, we don't know for sure.
We don't,
find out.
Check the agenda.
I'll find out. I got 3 other projects coming.
Oh, do you want this?
You can have those.
Oh, thank you. I don't know from you then. Thank you.
We're now at notice of intent for 30 River Road, Boston RV Resort and Cottages versus Sturbridge LLC, applicant Representative Goddard Consulting. DP, do you don't have a DP file number?
They still don't have a DEP file number.
What?
They still don't have a DEP file number. This is not us.
I jumped the gun. Not us.
Oh, my God. Okay. Vegetative management proposal. Go ahead.
Request for continuation on that project. This is not that project.
Oh, okay, all right. This is not.
River Road is the camp.
All right, so that's a continuation, so.
No, you guys are still good. They're not.
What?
So 10 is a continuation. So in regards to the project at 30 River Road, the EP file number unknown. Make a motion for a continuation to June 5.
Second.
Any discussion? Again, we don't need any discussion on that.
No.
All in favor?
Carsten Stieber in favor.
St. Germain in favor.
Nathan Lane in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Eric Asbar in favor.
All right. Now we are at Hemlock Path.
That's the one.
Ta-da-ta-da. Notice of intent, 206 Hemlock Path. Nancy Mangari, applicant, representative McClure Engineering, DEP file number 300-1233. Proposed project, raise and rebuild of a single-family house.
Great. Good evening, Chris McClure, McClure Engineering, and I'm here on behalf of Nancy Mancheri and her family regarding the raising and reconstruction of a new home on 206.
We're going to do these two completely separately?
Yeah.
I think it's
We are.
best.
They're separate filings.
I know they're separate filings, but the blueprint that I got, they were both on.
They are. I'm the other person. I'm ready to go. When you're ready, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm just trying to get clarity. I'm never ready to go.
Okay.
They've been addressed individually. You're right, pictures are both here, but
There's going to be some, the reason I presented them like this would be some grading. The two projects are going to be constructed, raised and constructed at the same time, using the same architects and contractors. So there's going to be some grading that occurs upon both lots. So we figured that we'd show them both on this one plan, but we would just...
So it's going to be like this if we have a problem, huh?
If she'll pay for mine, I will let them.
Okay.
do mine as well.
She's already getting on here, isn't she, huh?
she's the little sister.
I'm the little sister, that's right. I've always been in trouble.
Okay, I had some questions that related singularly, and so therefore, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Sure, no problem. So the subject site consists of an undeveloped parcel at 206A, that's how they get access, that's owned by both the sisters, and a developed parcel at 206 Hemlock Path. The upland portion of the site consists of upland forest, is this an existing single-family home, some outbuildings.
Seasonal.
Seasonal.
Only summer.
Outbuildings, gravel driveway, and lawn. So as part of the project, looking to remove 6 of the trees, 6 trees here, adjacent on the south side of the house, and one that falls within the footprint of the garage, and one that falls in between the garage and the existing house. And then 3 trees which are on 206A, which are effectively rotting and in bad shape. So they'd like to remove those as part of this project. They're within the 25-foot no disturb, so we would need.
Your voice quality is poor. Please move the mic closer.
No,
You got-
don't
it comes
move
up
that
on the
mic.
screen.
That's coming from my computer. That's
Oh, is
not
it?
for him.
Oh.
And don't touch the mic, you'll get yelled at.
Honest to God, it was right up, okay, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So the proposed house is going to be a 26 by 52 house with a constructed mudroom off to the east, and then a carport that would be a covered carport that would link the home and into the garage. The garage is a proposed 23 by 24 garage, and the home would construct a deck. They were looking to construct a deck off to the lake side of the property. The footprint is just a little bit larger on the north side of the existing home, and it's going to be just a little bit shorter on the south side. And the deck is pretty much the same overall proximity to the Big Alum Lake. The wetlands were delineated by Ecotech, and the house, each of these homes have their own individual well, and they both have a municipal sewer, so an ejector pump on the properties. They're not looking to put out, to add any pavement to the property. The access to the garage will be maintained gravel, and And that's pretty much it. We're open to any questions that you may have relative to the project.
I do have some questions regarding stormwater mitigation on the house. I don't think, I mean, it's a relatively flat site, so I don't think it needs anything intricate, but I would recommend, you know, downspouts on the house, maybe even a rain barrel for the garage. I also believe that there is some opportunity to do some replacement planting. That's really it. I think that using the footprint that you're already in, you're staying outside of the 50, I think the impact is minimal. I would also like to discuss the sand beach, and what your plan is for that, if you're leaving it as is, if you plan on routinely bringing in more sand to improve that, because I do have concerns about adding more sand.
I'd be happy to, are you saying you want to talk about that right now? I mean, I'd be happy to talk about it, because we've been going here since I was 5 years old. It's not a new purchase. My family's had these places since I was 5, and she was just an infant. But we don't have any walls in the front. We have the rocks. There is that, like a cove, where it is beachy there. And that, we've had sand there since then too, but I do have real concerns, because you can see it's eroding the edges, you know, of, and I always wonder, what do we do about it, you know? The trees are getting closer and closer to the lake, or the lake is getting closer and closer to the trees. But yeah, I'd be happy to talk about that. I'd be open to any thoughts on protecting the lake sites.
I mean, at this, when was the last time any sand was brought in to the site?
Probably last, was it a year or two?
What, sand?
Yeah.
When's the last time sand came in?
A couple of years ago.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it was, yeah.
Okay.
We have grandchildren now, and yes, we did. He's the Sandman.
So I think from there, my recommendation would be that no more sand be brought into the area. If there is a proposal to bring more sand into the area, that come with some type of plan on showing on how we're gonna keep that back to prevent suffocation of natural vegetation and habitat, effects on water quality in that area.
Yep.
And just to
Makes sense.
leave it be at this point.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Starting at that end, anything? No? I have a few questions. First of all, has the square footage increased from the old building?
Yes. I can't tell you exactly how much, but if you, oh, sorry, oh, I can't, can I point? Is there a
Oh,
pointer?
sure, yeah.
Is this a pointer?
It is.
It is?
Just don't point it in anyone's eyes.
I can't see it. It's,
Oh,
yeah, I'm
maybe
not seeing it work. So,
Another one next to you on the table there.
okay, so it
And
is,
that one's going the other.
Wrong way.
oh,
Just don't point it in anyone's eyes.
I'm trying not to. Okay, so if you can see the old house, there is right here, we filled in this corner.
Okay.
And if you look at, so that was the first thing. The other thing is this wall here. Okay, the old wall here did not match the old wall at this end of the house. So we moved this wall out to match what was at this end. Then, I've never done anything like this before, but then this little jet out here, we moved it over to the end also. So, I mean, these spaces were reconfigured, and I believe there were 2 feet added on this side here, and we filled in the square here. Does that answer your question? I don't know the square footage. I can find out.
Yeah, if I could, so this, we have the existing habitable floor area at 1,256 and the proposed at 1,515, so approximately 250 square feet of difference based upon the
expansion.
architectural plans.
Okay.
All right, now, are you gonna, this deck is an addition?
Yes, can you see the lines of the original deck
So you're
there?
adding the deck?
There is a deck there.
Yes, we are adding a deck.
You're
Oh,
adding,
to the new,
Yeah,
yes.
it's,
and how many square feet is the deck?
the deck is, so it's a step deck, it's 29 feet wide at the maximum width.
29 by what?
It steps from, basically, there's a 3-season component. Oh, no,
No,
I'm
that's
sorry.
not this-
Yeah,
that's not my
the
house.
other one, yeah. Just give me here. 29 by 13, and then there's a bedroom deck is 10 by 5, so 50 and 30 times 15 is 300, 450,
Square feet
yes.
on a 1,000 original?
Yeah, what the original was,
So it's about a third larger?
yes. Yes, yes, that's, yeah.
Now, you've also gone closer to the lake.
No, I'm sorry.
So our closest proximity to the, oh, yes, you're correct, it's 56.2 versus what was 58. So 1.8 feet closer.
What closer?
1.8 feet.
And now, this walk, what is this made out of?
Those are actually just, I'm sorry, they're my tie lines, there'll be no additional walk going back,
all
yeah.
right, yeah.
Those are just to show the proximity from the existing and the proposed, the deck to the bank at Big Alum.
So there was a deck, but it was much smaller. It's expanded to the south.
Yes, yeah.
No, is this what you're calling the deck? Where's the deck?
It's in the back.
In the
I'm s-
back?
no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
It's towards Big
There's-
Alum side.
There is an existing deck that you're pointing at, yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
okay.
Yes.
That's the,
And the, like, folded
Yeah,
lines.
Yeah.
yep, okay, I'm just.
Is there a second story on the house?
I'm sorry?
There is.
The new one.
There's
There's a second story.
yes.
So, do you have a walkway going to the lake? Where is it?
We're not proposing a walkway to the lake.
Not. And as far as the trees are concerned, these are the only trees that we're looking at?
Yes,
Cut down?
yes. On the other side of the carport and the ones on the, yes, the driveway side on 206A.
All right, there's no reason, is there any reason why you couldn't tighten this up a little bit? Give us a little bit more? I mean, all we're required to give you is what you have.
Can I answer?
I don't care who answers it.
Yeah, so basically, we've taken the proposing, we've been through many, a few editions of this, and working with the architect, so we've taken what the applicant has requested and shown it on the plan.
Yeah.
When I've asked, I was led to believe that a couple of feet, and honestly, I guess I would like to double check the measurements, but I was led to believe that it didn't have to exactly match. The house is ADA compliant, Americans with Disabilities compliant. My husband and I are going to plan to live there year-round, and some of the changes, the 2 feet in the back, had to do with making the bathroom compliant, so you could get into the shower if you needed a wheelchair, et cetera. So that was the reason for that. And the other corner just makes a nicer living room. We get a lot of family. We love it out here.
We appreciate that. I guess that, so you can take a look at that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Can you give a little more direction? When you say tighten it up,
Well,
Make it closer
you know,
to what it is that what you're saying?
What, I beg your pardon?
Making it closer to the square footage it has now?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And anything you can do to push it back from the lake makes us happy. Doesn't have to be a lot, but a little bit helps. Anybody else want to comment?
Just like a question, like when you mentioned the square footage, that is not the square foot, the square footage of the footprint is the square footage of the house, so it includes like the upper floor as well.
Yeah, that's the habitable floor area,
Yeah.
so.
So then it's,
So it's a big house compared to what it is now. Is that what you?
oh, no, like the opposite.
Yeah, I
Because
don't-
it's like you are dividing it like that is,
Right,
the
right.
200, I
Yeah.
think was about like 200 square foot, like bigger than the previous one, so it's kind of like divided in two floors, so it'll be like.
And are you gonna have a full basement?
Hope to.
Yeah. Okay.
Could I just ask a clarifying question, because I'm confused, I'm staring at the plans here, and I don't know, I'm looking at habitable floor area for the existing house at 1,256 feet, and for the proposed at 1,239 feet. So it looks like we're reducing it by 17 square feet, and where did we get that we're increasing the size of it by 250 feet? I get it, when we're on 208 Hemlock, this is a significant difference, but where am I missing under the zoning information table? Or are we looking at, am I looking at the wrong?
No, you're right.
graphics?
6 is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right,
And he
but
said that,
I recall somebody saying it was about 250 square feet bigger.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing where that is.
1256 to 1550.
It looks like the footprint is smaller.
No, on 206,
Now,
it goes to 12.
there's an argument that can be made that the deck looks like it's about 50% bigger than the existing deck, so we could talk about that, but I'm just wondering around the footprint of the house, am my lying eyes wrong?
The existing is 1256 and the proposed is 1515.
I don't, okay, so what I'm looking at for a plan, it says 1239. I don't see
Are you
1558.
looking at,
Am I looking at the wrong, I'm looking at the one that was online.
so here is where we're getting the numbers we're talking about, the habitable?
Yeah, I think he's.
You see it on the screen, Eric?
Oh, an older
You
one?
know, it could be, we did do a revision based upon additional architectural plans. that we received.
Oh, so okay, so I'm working off of an old plan. Okay, sorry. What's online is the old plan, I think. That's what,
it
okay.
goes, habitable floor area goes from 1256 to 1515.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm just not seeing it on what I'm looking at, so that's why I wanted to ask a clarifying question. So, that's
You go
fine.
to- The proposed house goes to 22,520 square feet.
No, that's the lot size.
Yeah,
That's a lot size.
What?
That's a lot size.
Oh, the lot size, I'm sorry. Fine. Forget it, Eric.
I mean, I can see it on the screen, I just don't see it in the plans that I had online, so that's where I was confused, so.
Forget the plans.
Okay.
Just a question, I don't see a replanting or replacement for the trees that are going to, maybe I'm missing it. In the plan, is there any proposals?
Narrative was submitted?
Yeah, Scott from Ecotech had provided a narrative, and on the lakeside of this particular property, it is pretty vegetated. If we were on site, there's really no room for additional plantings on that lakeside.
No.
It's very vegetated
Yeah.
You're thinking my sisters.
But you had a plan to
I
cut
think that's
down.
actually, it
Oh,
was,
here.
okay.
Here it is.
I'm gonna bring the lot up again.
That is 206, yeah.
Okay, maybe I wasn't here. Did we have a site visit for this one? I don't remember. Or maybe I wasn't here. Or maybe I forgot.
Just look at the house, I think we saw. Do you have pictures? I think there were two of these old houses. But they completely raise.
They're all in one folder, so.
So
Is this one 206 or 208?
That is your.
That's mine.
Yep,
That
that's
is- that is-
206, yep.
Yep. That's the 4 trees that are coming down the tree house.
Oh, okay. They're like little.
I'm sorry?
Like, they are little and crowded.
Yep.
And 1 tree for the garage, I believe.
Yep, the woodshed will be removed as well.
Getting rid of the outhouse.
Yep, and the outhouse.
So that's the existing deck. And that's the sandy waterfront.
Yep.
What are we doing here?
Looking at pictures.
What?
Looking at the site, sorry.
Great.
Yeah.
How do you want to move forward?
Because you want to continue.
The planting plan, what?
You want a continuance?
Yeah, but the planting plan needs to include some trees that grow large and are shade trees.
So,
Right now, you're very decorative.
oh, I'm very decorative.
Yeah.
The 3 in the back, the biggest 3? I
What?
know the biggest 3 in the back, he suggested, I don't know where the narrative is, but he suggested the biggest 3 in the back, I'm sorry, I call it the back, you call it the front, by the wetlands, would be replaced with the same trees that we take out, but they're dangerous trees, they're dead and practically dead, and his recommendation was to replace them with similar trees in the back, and then the other parts he gave options for the other 4 trees.
Right.
So,
So he has presented plan, we just don't have a.
Yeah, how long have you been there?
how long have we been there?
Yeah,
Since 1958,
1958.
yes.
What trees have hurt you?
I'm sorry?
What trees have hurt you in that time?
What trees have hurt us in that time?
Yeah.
We actually have not been hurt, but there have been trees that have come down, and we've been very fortunate that,
Well, yeah, I'm not talking not managing them, but clearing them out.
I'm not interested,
Clearing them out is very bad for the lake.
I'm not interested in clearing out the trees. I like trees, I really do. I really do like trees.
I saw that listing.
You saw what?
I saw the listing of replacements in there, dogwood and things like that.
We can certainly work with that, and I will say that
And we should mark where they're gonna go.
we were trying to get something in time, and he said, I can give you the narrative, can't
I
do,
know, that's what
don't
they
have
always,
time to
you
do.
know.
He said, don't have time to do it in 2 days.
Anybody, what?
We can incorporate that, like for, if we, are you continuing for
Continuation?
continuation?
Yeah.
Yes, and they can include the,
And take a look at the size of the house and do the planting plan.
okay,
Okay?
okay,
All right.
okay,
You're
Great.
amenable?
Amenable, yes.
Yeah.
okay.
Are we clear on what we need to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Continuation till next time?
June 5?
Except everything has to be turned in by next Monday. I'm out of the country for 2
No,
weeks.
that's for new materials. It's
Oh.
for any revised materials, 1 week before the meeting. So you'd be, I think that's the 28th.
We have 2 meetings in the next month, so. What's the second meeting? What's the date of the second meeting?
June 26th.
What?
June 26th.
26th. Why don't you plan on the 26th?
Okay.
That'll give you a little more time.
Doable,
to do
thank
that.
you.
26, okay.
Thanks.
So I
Looking
will,
good.
I make the motion then for the project at 206 Hemlock Path, DP file number 300-1233. Make the motion to continue the public hearing to June 26.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right.
Ron Sherman in favor?
Constance Stewart in favor.
Nathan Lane in favor?
Ed Good in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Great. Thank you. We are now at 2:08.
Like, move next
Susan.
door?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, good evening, Chris McClure, McClure Engineering, and I'm here with Susan Rogers, the owner of 208 Hemlock Path. So the subject site is right adjacent to 206. Consists of an undeveloped parcel located at 206A, that's how they get access, owned in conjunction with her sister, and a developed parcel at 208. The upland portion of the site consists of upland forest, an existing single-family home, a garage, a boathouse, and gravel driveway and lawn area. So we are proposing, on this property, proposing a 30 by 40 home with a cantilevered 3-season porch.
30 by 40?
30 by 40, yes. Is a 10 by 13 cantilevered 3-season porch and a 10 by 20 deck. There's also a 10 by 20 boathouse. We replaced the existing boathouse with a 12 by 16 cantilevered dock off the lake side of that as well.
Where's the dock?
It is, yeah, right there.
Okay, is it wood?
Yeah. Presently, it is wood, and it goes like this, and it's awful.
So what do you want, you want to replace the boathouse?
Yes.
The same size, and this does not show the same size. There's a different,
So the hangover wasn't picked up correctly, but the boathouse is going to be replaced with the same size boathouse, so.
Yeah, the other thing, we would like a plan on the boat, how you're gonna do the boathouse. Because, you know, we really don't wanna see it dug out and poured cement. We'd like to see, take all the wood away, refashion the structure that's there for a footing. I think you can do that, and put the boathouse on it.
okay.
You know, it's just one person speaking. Go ahead. I didn't mean to.
Well, we'll have, provide architectural plans on both the boathouse and the home, for that, you know, for the commission to review.
Same thing on the house. The house is considerably larger.
Yeah, this home would go from 940 to 1400.
Yeah. Again, the law says replacement, not expansion. Now, we do allow, we're lenient in areas of logic, but everybody just comes in here and it's always larger, it's always 2 stories, always includes a full basement if possible. And so we're trying to keep the lake in good quality. And all of those things are excavation and, you know, do damage to the lake. You know, even the best do damage.
Both of these homes do currently have a full basement. They are currently dirt floors, but based upon review with the architect, they're going to have to maintain. You know, they need to be cognizant of that groundwater level in relation to the lake. But they do want to keep that full basement.
If you dig a full basement there, it's going to be an extension of the pond.
It's actually backward.
Is it
It will go away from the lake.
It'll go away
Okay.
from the lake? Oh, I'm not supposed to talk? He's talking? Okay, you let me know when it's my
He
turn.
knows.
Yeah, so we are, we've provided the topo, the final architectural plans are, and they're aware of, the elevations that they need to maintain. Obviously, they don't want to have anything in the basement would be just, destroyed by water, so, that if that requires additional steps to get into the house and raise the finished floor of those basements up, that's what they'll do. They won't be able to maintain dry basements if they get them below the, that high groundwater table, so.
I have a question regarding the basement. as
Sorry,
well.
go ahead, yeah.
Right now it has a basement, you mentioned. Does it have to be, do you have to dig farther inland to support the two-story house, or is the same basement footprint that you're going to
The finished floor, we're not going to go any deeper than the current floor of the current basement. And that'll be excavated, and that's where the footings will go, right below that floor, and then the foundation walls will come up from there.
But the basement is going to be the full extent of the new construction, not the extent of the previous construction?
It's going to be all new
Okay, so
construction.
this
Yes,
is
so
expanding the
everything-
basement as well? Okay.
Yes, yep.
So this is the new house,
Yes,
and this is the old house.
yes.
Again, I'd like to see them closer in size. I'm just talking about the footprint, I'm not talking about, you could put,
When it's my turn, you just let me know.
Sure.
but
So if Susan could, she'd like to address the board.
go ahead. Yeah, nobody said not to address this.
Oh, when you looked at me, you looked at him like, let him talk, because,
Well, yeah, he's-
So, it's a 900 square foot cottage that we've been going out to for forever. I have 2 sons and 1 granddaughter. We'll have a second one. My husband died 14 months ago. I want to sell my house where I live and move here permanently. And my 37-year-old son has to sleep on the couch because the cottage is so small. I would just like a home. I guess I can't call it a cottage, I can call it a lake house, but I would like one that is livable for my family. And what is there now, people are on top of each other. You're welcome to come in and take a look. But it's just not, it does not support a family for how small it is. Also, lake, not lake. So coming from the garage, going to the house, it actually slopes down. And when you go to put the basement into the ground, you won't have windows on the upper side, let's see, east side, because of the slope of the land. So, did you want to say, oh,
No,
that's your pencil.
No, that's my pencil, sorry.
Yeah.
But the house the house barely supported me and my husband. When he moved in with me, I thought that was going to be the end of us because the place was too small for 2 people. But I want my family to be with me, and I will trick them into living there with me if I can. But I want a home that I can enjoy with my family, and 900 square feet is not.
So how many bedrooms does this have now?
3. One of them, the one that we fixed up for my granddaughter, does not have a door in it, because if the door opened, there would be you couldn't get a bed in there.
No, I mean the new one.
3.
3?
They will still have 3.
And it's downstairs and
I will
upstairs.
be on the first floor, because someday I won't be able to get, mine will also be handicap accessible.
I don't plan to have any steps coming into the home from the garage side. I plan for it to be grade level, and you would be able to take a wheelchair in straight through the house, maneuver in it. I'm trying to plan for me being on that level. Second floor, probably have a Murphy, it's actually a loft, it's not a full second floor. You can look up from the living room. And then basement is an insult, so the lower level would have a room for someone to stay in down there as well, besides storage.
Have a question. Would the lot allow to move the house back farther away, and so we can like do a compromise of like moving the house more like towards like passing the 100-foot buffer, even if it's like partial, and allowing the larger the structure.
Then you destroy even more, right? I mean, if you build on another.
Let her answer.
I don't know what she's talking, I can't find the 100, I don't know what
Oh,
you're
so
looking
the
at.
100 is
Oh,
here.
okay, okay.
So like moving this kind of like there. I don't know, it's just as a way of,
So the number 733.2, my grinder is sitting right there for my septic. And there's a small patio off the garage with a wall there. There's a garden there, neither here nor there. My husband built that too. Anything my husband did, I have an affinity to keep. But I don't want to be closer to the water. I love the lake, and I know he said that I have grass. I don't have grass. I have, sorry, I'm not, but I don't want grass. I have wild plants that support the soil in the ground. I also, this is not what you're asking about, but I don't use fertilizer. I don't water anything outside. I don't pollute the water. I have no runoff, and I care about my postage stamp size world there. I have no interest in doing damage, and I know that you guys came out to the cottage, and my sister and I were on a train, so we didn't get to speak to people, but I would be happy to have someone come out, and I will walk around with them and show them. I have pictures, but sometimes it just helps to walk through it.
Thank you.
But I come back to you basically have a larger house on the single floor than you currently have.
There'll be a loft.
And you'll have an upstairs, which, I don't know what a loft is. It's
It just means I don't have a full
same size
second
as
floor.
the lower floor.
Yes.
And then you have a basement, which is the same size as the ground floor. And then you have a garage that has an overhead room over that you could put 5 kids in if you wanted.
Okay, so I wouldn't do that because I came before a board to talk about my garage. My husband and I both had storage units that we were paying for every month, and I asked for this garage, and they said, oh, historically, people have let people live in their garages. And I said, your history, I wish, would not define my future.
Yeah.
I don't have anyone living in the garage. There are no children up there hiding or not, but I do have storage in the garage, I do.
Well, I'm sorry I digressed on that. I shouldn't have gone there. Coming back to this, you need to take a look at the plan and see if you can bring it more in line with the house that you had and the house that you're going to.
Well, we will be able to provide you the architectural plans for what they're proposing, and I think it's fairly tasteful, and it fits into the neighborhood. It's not something that's that hasn't been seen specifically on either side of them. So I think they're going to maybe seeing the home, and the architectural plans would help in that. And we'll also look at, the location, but we don't have much.
And since we're not setting precedent with anything, my neighbor, who I care very much for, has, she took down a house that had been there for a long time, and has, it's substantially larger than it was, and it has a walk-in basement, and it has 2 floors above, and it has a full lawn in the front, and I know she waters her lawn, and I know she cares for it, and I don't care. She takes good care of it, and she has 2 trees in her front yard. Okay, but, I mean, that is what is on the side. My house looks like her changing room, because if you looked at it from Google Earth, I'm just saying that this house is substantially bigger than it was when it was there, and I just would like a place to live in that is bigger than 900 square feet.
Can you put the PDF that has the square footage? So I can look at that, thank you.
What do you want
Yes. No, I was just, because it's like a double in size, but you're starting with something that it was quite small, so that I was just like looking at that, like it's 1,400 square foot. Yeah.
My bed, which I have a queen-size bed in my room, you can't fit a nightstand on either side. Well, you can't make the bed if the nightstand is on either side, because you can't put the sheets down. My family has been very amenable to whatever I do, but I think a 37-year-old should have his own bedroom. I think he should have a place to sleep. And I would like it to be in Sturbridge. I would like it to be on the lake. Okay?
So the second floor is a loft, you say?
Above.
I'm just wondering whether you could make the second floor a little bit, reduce the site and put something up on the second floor. Is a little more substantial, or?
Make a more substantial second floor?
I mean,
Well, so I would like a pellet stove in my living room. I actually don't want any fossil fuels in my home, so I won't have gas and I won't be having oil. I would like a pellet stove in my living room, and by having that in the front corner of my living room, the heat can actually go up and get to the opening is above the living room, but the heat can go to the second floor, because we all know heat rises. I've tried to be pretty thoughtful for this, and I would love for you to take a look, and you can tell me, if you walk through that and say, Susan, you're crazy, I'll still respect you, but I would, it's been a lot for me to try to figure this out and to make it big enough for my family to be in. So I understand what you're saying, and I hope you understand what I'm saying.
I do.
And I do think, maybe seeing the plans that they've put together, there's been a lot of thought put into it with respect to the lot size and everything else.
Please go and read the regulation on
Sure.
replacement. Pretty specific.
Lauren, do you want it to?
And see what you can do to come as close to it as you can. So. Continuation?
Yes.
Lauren, I think, wants to.
If I can just make a couple comments.
Sure.
First off, I'm sorry for the loss of your husband. I'm sure you had a lot of memories together in this house, so I'm sure that itself is a little nostalgic. Same comments go for the stormwater on this house. Being that you have a garden, maybe a rain barrel might be a great suggestion for you.
I was a professional horticulturist for 15 years before I changed careers.
That's fantastic. Also, regarding the boathouse now, it's on cinder blocks, right? Isn't it somewhat raised?
Someone makes
I know the
fun
floor
that
is
it's
falling
on,
through,
someone
but-
makes fun that it's on pallets, but it's on it's sitting.
Okay, is that what you're envisioning for the new one?
I don't understand, since I'm not a builder, I don't understand how the cantilever dock works so that there's no legs.
Got it. So
I don't
that
know
would
how
be-
that works.
The helical posts would
Okay.
be the supporting, and then it would be, the dock would be cantilevered through the base of the boathouse.
Can you include that on the plan, so we have the cantilever counterweight on there too?
Yep.
I was also wondering if possible, I don't know if it would make sense for the site having maybe a prefabricated shed or something similar size to the boathouse, but I feel like the construction aspect of it, of disassembly, I mean, from what I remember, that one's just, you're gonna lift it up and move it. It's not, but putting the helical piles, I don't know if it would make more sense to consider something prefabricated that can kind of go on, and then there doesn't have to be as much construction activity in that area too. So they're
That wouldn't.
just something that
That
I would
wouldn't bother me at
recommend
all.
exploring.
When my sister and I were little, we'd go swimming, then we'd climb up into the attic in our cottage, and it would be really warm up there, and we would tell stories and whatever. The boathouse, you have a ladder that goes up, and you can just look out the sliding window and make up stories about what's going on the lake, and who's fishing, and what kind of fish, and there's a lot of stuff there. There's,
Would you like a continuation?
Yes.
Motion?
To the 26th as well? Or to June 5?
Same time as this.
The same time?
Yeah.
Want to do the same?
I'm not
Okay.
going anywhere.
Okay, so for the project at 208 Hemlock Path, DEP file number 300-1234, I make the motion to continue the public hearing on June 26th.
Second.
Do I have a second? Second? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Carsten Stüber in favor.
San Germain in favor?
And I'm in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Thank you.
Now at Cedar Lake Association.
Just to note before I go into this, we have the item 13, the request for certificate of compliance. I would like to request when we're done with that, jumping down to item 18, since Suzanne is here too.
Okay.
I don't believe that we have anyone else present for anything else, so that's, okay. So item 13, the request for certificate of compliance. This is for the vegetation management plan for the, and we just issued another order of conditions for the new vegetation management plan, so this is closing out the old one, which actually expired on the 24th of last month.
Okay.
So recommendation to issue a certificate of compliance with no perpetual conditions.
How to make a motion
So
for
which
that?
number is that?
13.
Okay.
13.
So I make, for the project DEP file number 300-1189, I make the motion to issue a certificate of compliance.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Carsten Stüber in favor.
San Germain in favor?
Nathan Lane in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Thank you. Next, you want to go to,
18, if we may.
you want to go to 18, you say?
Correct.
All right.
You're jumping.
Discussion of the Cedar Lake vegetation management.
Confusing.
So we issued a certificate of, order of conditions for the vegetation management. We were very specific on several of the conditions. Many of those mirrored what was on the existing order. We were very specific on the treatment area, time of treatment and whatnot. I think that at some point conversation channels may have gotten a little crossed over and did not specifically address the algicide application. I would defer to Suzanne to correct me, but it looks like there might be some minor modifications to the order of conditions that might be needed, and that would have to be something that would be approved by the commission, not as an
What are
amendment.
minor modifications?
A couple of things. Most of the OOC is just fine, so thank you for that. But the algicide, we didn't specifically discuss that. And the issue with the algicide is that when we treat, we have to treat very, very quickly. So the 2-week notice is something that honestly could render our lake to have to be shut down. Because the cyanobacteria, when it does get to a certain level, it multiplies very quickly. So we have to work very quickly. So that 2-week required, notification for treatment, we can certainly live within that for doing plants. But when it comes to algicide, that could honestly turn into quite a very awful situation for not only the residents of the lake, but for the town. I mean, that's
What's
the
an
town.
awful situation?
I'm sorry?
What is an awful situation? Explain to me what it is.
So when the lake, when the cyanobacteria level hits, heads towards 70,000 cells per milliliter, then the state will actually shut us down. And that's when the lake is actually dangerous. So cyanobacteria can cause health issues. All of the programs at the beach then shut down. No one is allowed to use the lake. And from that point on, the state protocol takes over. And the state protocol says that they need to come and test. So we have to wait for them to come and test. And then they have to have 2 clean tests that they actually perform 2 weeks in a row. So the last time we were shut down for cyanobacteria in 2018, we were actually shut down for 6 weeks. Even though the tests that we independently had paid to have done showed that our cyanobacteria levels had come down to a safe level, probably 3 weeks before that. So the 2-week notification is, we usually wait, we watch the levels, we test a couple times a month, and we watch to see them go up and down. As we see them going up and we see the humidity coming in, the water temperature increasing and all that, it's as we see the trajectory getting close to that level that we move in and we pay to have the algae killed, basically. And when we do that, we need to treat about 50% of the lake. So algae, unlike plants, it floats around and it goes everywhere, right? So typically Solitude will go around the entire perimeter of the lake to treat for the algae in order to make it safe for everyone. The beach, the host, the residents, the people coming in from anywhere who use the lake. So that the 2 conditions, the one for the 2-week notice and the cap on the 10 acres, they will work, for the plant treatments, but for the algicide, it's, we might as well not treat it at all. It will be very ineffective.
Now, the algae, what does it feed on?
I'm sorry?
What is promoting the algae?
Several things. The temperature of the water and light. So if we have, like last year, we had drought, we had very little rain near the end of the season. The water temperature was very warm.
Yeah.
We have cyanobacteria in the lake at all times. Right now it's around 3,000. We just had it tested on Monday, which is nowhere near the 70,000. But what happens is when the water gets warmer and there's a lot of sunshine, it will cause that to grow.
Yeah.
The other thing is that nutrients in the water also feed, that's what feeds the cyanobacteria. We have very high phosphorus level in our lake. It's something that we have a deep desire to partner with the town to help us kind of combat, the root cause, because if you can get to the root cause, then you can stop using chemicals, right? But, we're not at that point yet. It's a very expensive thing to do the kind of research that's needed for that. But it's high phosphorus and high nitrogen that will feed the cyanobacteria, and all that is fueled by warm water and light.
What did you say your name for me?
I'm sorry?
What was your name?
My name is Suzanne Brozek. I'm at 2 Kabensky Drive, and I'm a trustee of Cedar Lake Association.
So what do you suggest in terms of the algae?
The conditions?
The conditions.
If the conditions for the 2-week notice and the 10-acre cap.
And the drawdown.
Well, that's
Algaecide.
that's number 20, so we'll get to that. But that's condition number 20. But if those two could apply specifically to the plant treatment and not apply to the algae, I think,
So the algae you just want to do whenever you think it's necessary?
we do it when it's becoming dangerous. We do it when it's going to be a health issue. For what Lauren was talking about a second ago, she's right about that too. Condition number 20 is a different topic altogether, but it states that we can only treat during drawdown. Number one, we're not even permitted at this point to do drawdown. We're working on getting permitted, so we've actually collected a lot of data on Monday. We're working on that application to come before you for that. But treatment with Cedar Lake on the weeds typically is starting now. We start in the spring and the summer. Our first survey shows that the cool spring has been very kind to us this year, so we're in a much better place than we were last year. By last year at this point, we had thin leaf pondweed on the north end of the lake that was at 75% concentration over 2.5 acres. Preliminary, we don't have all the report on all the data yet, but preliminary data shows that we're about 50% concentrated on only a 1/2 acre way down the north end of the lake. So this year, we're pretty sure that there's not going to be a recommendation to treat this early. Last year, we absolutely had to treat this early because it was becoming a hazard, to anyone going into the water, tubers falling in, boats chewing up the invasive weeds, that kind of a thing. So we do anticipate we'll need to treat for weeds at some point this year, but it looks like we don't have to do it in May, and that's good news.
No, the treatment, you don't have to wait for people to swim or go in. It doesn't have any health.
So there's a notification process. So when we contact, and actually you have a required notification process in the order of conditions as well, which we're actually very used to. So we set up a time with Solitude. First, the survey happens, and everybody determines, in this case, it's going to be our TRC this year, determine what needs to be treated. We contact Solitude, we set up a date. They send us the official notification posters that we put up, and they're very specific on there, telling people to stay out of the water for so many hours, not to allow animals to drink the water, things like that. And, there are different, it's usually like anywhere from 24 to, I think it's 72 hours is the max, but all of those conditions are, posted, and we also advertise it through Facebook and through email that treatment will be performed, and people stay out of the water. And including boating, by the way. And the thing about boating, it's not that someone's going to get sick over boating, but it will decrease the effectiveness of the treatment because the treatment of plants is very specific to an area. And we don't want those treatments to be spread across the other parts of the lake. We want them to be concentrated in the area where the problem is.
So how much time in advance do you think?
For algaecide?
Yeah, so you said like 2 weeks was too long, but.
Honestly, if it could be real time, that's how quickly we work. you know, we've never had a problem with conservation on this point in the past because it is a health issue. You know, conservation's always notified and it's checked against our our OOC and all that. We follow procedure. But we actually set it up to do it as quickly as possible as soon as we see that we're going to have a problem.
And the same day is enough time to notify and like, so that people will not go into.
I would say, you know, we've done it within a week or within 5 days, I think is probably the shortest that we've ever done it. But we, you know, the process is to go to conservation first, you know, and get approval and all of that, and then post. We have to have time for people to see the signs, and we have to have time to communicate to everyone that this is being done.
Is Board of Health involved?
I'm sorry?
Is Board of Health involved with this?
So we met with the town manager. The Board of Health was involved. They were unable to attend the meeting. But we talked about coming together more with regard to cyanobacteria. The Board of Health tests for E. coli on the beach, you know, the goo poo and all that. But they do not test for cyanobacteria. Cedar Lake Association is the only organization that tests for cyanobacteria. What we agreed.
Why doesn't the Board of Health do it?
Well, we had that chat, and for this season, we agreed that we would share our results with them. But honestly, it would be wonderful if the Board of Health would do it, because it is a serious situation. We have, you know, stagnant water out on the beach. We've got kids out there, you know, at summer camp all summer long, you know, and they do shut down the beach a couple times a year for E. coli, but E. coli dissipates very quickly. Cyanobacteria does exactly the opposite. If it stays warm and bright, it will grow and not shrink. Board of Health in the past, in my experience, and I've been here for 11 years now, Board of Health will actually shut down the beach if they see a blue, like an algae bloom. And I wish TRC were here with me to explain that, you know, judging how, what the situation is with cyanobacteria by looking at the color of the water is really misleading, because there are different types of different sizes of cells, different species of cyanobacteria. And the day that the Board of Health, I don't remember how this all went, but the day that they, you know, kind of said, you know, we've got an algae bloom, that same day TRC had tested our water, and they had tested, I think it's called Indian Wells Lake or something like that in Worcester? Anyway.
Yeah, Indian Lake.
Yeah, okay. Their lake looked perfectly fine. Their levels were at over 110,000. Our levels were at 21,000 the same day. And the reason is because their cyanobacteria is a different species than ours, and ours shows up quicker because of the size of the cells, whereas the kind that they have is not likely to show up. So they were actually swimming in very dangerous water without any visual clue that they were doing that, you know. And I'm not saying anyone should go near an algae bloom by any stretch of the imagination, but it does show how important it is to get data, you know, to really actually measure it. And I mean, we pay $400 every time we get it tested, and they test on the beach, and it's sent to a lab that, you know, immediately, and we get results back within 2 days. So it's not a huge expense.
So what are you asking from us?
From you, I'd like you to consider removing condition 20 altogether, because that prohibits us from being able to treat in the spring and summer. In addition, treating in the fall really is ineffective because no one's using the lake in the winter anyway, so we're not, we're doing this for safety purposes for during lake season. And the second thing is that the condition to provide a 2-week notice of treatment and, what was the second thing?
10 acre.
I'm sorry?
The 10 acre.
Yeah, the 10 acre cap apply only to vegetation treatment and not algicide.
We got anything on the treatment as far as reports? How does that work? How dangerous is the treatment?
The treatment for algicide?
Yeah.
Well, so I'm not a chemist or anything like that. But it is, everything we use is approved by the state of Massachusetts, and we use the safest that we can. And are always working toward that, so, I don't have the education to tell you exactly how dangerous it is or not dangerous it is. But what I will say is that it is approved by the state of Massachusetts, and it is the safest that we can use in terms of health, because it's something that we always, strive to do, and we notify everyone. Everyone stays out of the water.
Do you remember the names of the algicide that is used? I'm trying to find if
It's in our OOC.
It was a copper-based algicide.
Oh, the copper base, or it was the Dicot?
Oh, no, it's not
No,
dicot.
The Dicot is for the
It's
plants.
for the vegetation.
Yeah, okay, so it's
Yeah,
copper
dicot
base
is for plants.
So my recommendation would be to modify 20, because I would still want to leave the line there that says that there shall be no release of water from the dam at least 48 hours post-treatment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can do that.
And that was something that our water commissioner had wanted on there as well. But we can add an addendum to specifically note for algicide. If it would be reasonable to say 5-day notice, or at best, depending on circumstances.
Yeah.
If you all of a sudden hit and we're at that extremely critical point and it has to act right now, but we can still modify, but with best efforts to give 5-day notice of algicide treatment.
That would be amazing, and we would commit to, talking with you about it, making sure that, you're involved in it and all of that too, because everything that Solitude does comes in front of you anyway, but, we could make sure that we also reach out as well, and talk about what the levels are and, and what we're planning to do.
And I bring this forward as an addendum because I did go back in the meeting, and Suzanne is right, we spent a lot more time talking about the vegetation management. We acknowledged the algicide, but we didn't address that specifically. So.
If I can make a point that I would like to see the Lake Association working proactively to reduce the inputs of nitrogen and phosphorus that they're usually coming from lawn fertilizers. I don't know if I know that they shouldn't be used, but maybe they are still being used by the neighbors. So trying to do some type of management within the neighborhood so that there is a decrease in the inputs, because those are the ones that are causing the eutrophication and the blooms of cyanobacteria.
It's interesting because, South Pond had this problem, and their solution was to treat the whole lake with alum. Alum, just like big alum and little alum. Well, they have naturally occurring alum, and alum combats cyanobacteria, but our lake is not deep enough, so we wouldn't have the ability to do that. So talking with TRC and Solitude, the thing that we need to do is to actually study the watershed and try to understand the source. We have probably half a dozen nice lawns on Cedar Lake. It's not a lake with nice lawns around it, you know? I'm not saying that none of that is coming from fertilizers, but it can't possibly be the largest contributor, you know? So studying, you know, do we have the runoff from Cedar Street coming in, or, yeah, I don't know, you know, I'm just conjecturing, but there are some forces somewhere that are causing issues. So our best guess is that when we do have the root causes and can take a look at what the major causes are, that we'll be doing physical sort of remediation, you know? I don't know if that means building, you know, berms, or I don't know what it means, but, you know, but we have to first figure out what the root cause is, because this problem is going to plague us until we figure it out, you know?
Excuse me for my interruption, but it sounds like we're bleeding into other issues at this point. Could we maybe recommend to Lauren to craft some language, an addendum to this order of conditions and bring it to us next meeting that we can vote on?
Sounds good to me.
That's good. Yeah.
I think you already crafted it, didn't you?
Yeah, it'll just be those things. So, the four of you that are physically present are the ones that voted on the original order, so I would just request a vote to amend the addendum as discussed, and a vote from the four of you. And I can get that out and then re-record the order.
Okay.
Do I have a second on that?
Yeah, second.
Yes.
All
So,
in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Saint Germain in favor?
Nathan Lane in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Eric Gaspar abstains.
Thank you. I'll get that to you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
I'll probably get to it tomorrow.
Okay, all right, and then I can file that with the registry of deeds, okay. And I'll do that right away, because that needs to be done before we can do anything, right? Right.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thanks so much.
Thank you for what you do.
Oh, welcome. We'll be back in front of you about drawdown.
I didn't thank you that well.
Well, it's turning out to be a much bigger project than we expected, because the data that's required by the state is data that we largely don't have, so it's going to be a little bit. I don't know if we'll see you in June or July, but, you know, we're working on it anyway, so. Thank you.
Okay, we're down to Bushnell Road.
Nope, we're on 14.
Yep.
Going back.
What?
14, 7 Shepherd Place.
Yeah.
Oh, back to 14?
Yep.
Okay.
7 Shepherd Place, request for certificate of compliance. This was a septic replacement that was done last year. It was done according to the plan. They did exactly what I requested with that down tree and just cut it and pushed it to the side. The new owners have moved in, and Lori and I had a really great conversation with the new homeowner and kind of laid out everything that's going to be expected for future permitting, so I have no concerns, and recommendation is to issue a certificate of compliance for this project.
So I made a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 7 Shepherd Place, DP number 300-1207.
I strongly second
Second.
that.
All in favor?
Saint Germain in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Nathan Lane in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
All right. What's next?
15.
15. 4 Regent Lane, request to withdraw request to certify compliance. 300-1036.
We recently issued an amendment for this project, kind of similar to what we just did
Yeah.
with Haynes, so this is just kind of cleaning house. We do have to acknowledge the request for certificate of compliance, but since the original order was still valid, just formal request to withdraw the request for certificate of compliance.
Okay, so,
Any discussion? All in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
should I make the motion, or?
Make a motion, yeah.
Yeah.
So moved, okay.
Okay. Made a motion to accept the withdrawal for certificate of compliance for Reger Lane, DP number 300-1036.
Second.
All in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Sandra Mann in favor.
Nathan Lane in favor.
Ed Gooden in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor.
All right. 238 Walker Road. Is that next?
Yep.
Single-family home.
Perfect. So 238 Walker Road, this was an order of conditions for a new single-family home on an undeveloped lot. The property was sold with the plan approved. I've spent a lot of time with the new homeowners going over the terms of the order of conditions. They've already started development. Lots been cleared, erosion controls have been put in. While working through the architectural aspect of it, trying to form their home into the footprint that was put before them, they're requesting a slight modification. Skip down to the end here. Which includes slightly bringing the house further back. So this was the original approved
Yeah, this is what we have.
Okay.
4-bedroom home. And the minor change includes a deck on the back of the property, but the home itself is coming forward by about 2 feet. So trying to move away, but obviously still having to maintain zoning setbacks and having that driveway. Given the condition of the site, there's, other than the septic and leach field, there's no yard to this property. It's very wet. We actually had a conversation about potentially exploring the option of putting some of it in a CR under some type of chapter too, but I don't see any concerns. This is, I mean, there's a deck going on to the back, but the overall structure with the walkout basement is moving closer to the road and slightly further from the resource area. So my recommendation would be to accept the minor change.
How close is that deck to the wetlands?
This is the 50-foot buffer here, so it's about 57.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I made the motion to accept the withdrawal for certification of compliance for 238 Walker Road, DP number 300-1100.
So it's actually a request for a minor change that, I think it was a copy issue,
Yeah,
so.
but it's.
So we do the minor change or do the?
Copy and paste issue there.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So
Someone
it would be a motion to accept the minor change.
Accept the minor change, so I withdraw my motion and make a motion. So the motion is to accept the minor changes to the certificate of compliance for the project at 238 Walker Road, DP number 300-1100.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
San Germano in favor.
Nathan Lane in favor.
Ed Gooden in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Thank you.
All right, we're at old business.
I recommend we table 17.
What?
I recommend we table 17 till
Okay, yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
here again. We already did 18,
Yeah.
so on to 19.
All right. 19 is the agent update.
Yeah. So as discussed at the last meeting, we issued an enforcement order on 48 Bushnell. This was a project that we approved a septic replacement last year, and my fortune telling came true, and they did a bunch of clearing near the swamp, and some other site work that we have aerial photos showing that they put in some gravel walkways in the front. So they are working on gathering a restoration plan. And working with a landscaper. I gave them the deadline to provide that new plan by June 9th. The project manager did call me and said, you know, we're working towards this. We don't know if we can make the June 9th timeline happen, just trying to get a landscaper out. So I had said, stay in touch with me, continue to communicate, and we'll see where you are that week before. If you found someone, at least we can kind of stay in touch with it. But if they're willing to stay in touch and work with me, if they go silent on me, then we, you know, execute fines and continue to move forward with this. But they understood it's not the same person. They were given different instructions by who they were hired by, so we're working on that item. We have a couple of open COC requests that we're also working with, 6 Picker Lane being one of them. That was the one that I had tabled a couple times. Glenn briefly mentioned it when he was here, to get them back on track with their stormwater BMPs that were required, and they went out and did some measurements, some testing, updated their O&M plan. So I'm waiting to kind of bring that all back into alliance, and then we'll have Glenn kind of work to present something to accompany that COC request to ensure that everything was done according to plan, and that moving forward, they will be doing what they're supposed to be doing to manage the property correctly. 339 The Trail, that was a request for a certificate of compliance that we got last fall from 20 years ago, that there were several deviations from the plan. We had requested an as-built because there were so many deviations, and it did say that we would need one. The property owner was having some issues with the attorney that she had hired to handle this matter. They gave us a plot plan, not an as-built, so she is working on independently finding someone to get the as-built so we can move forward and close that. Other than that, Lori and I are actively working towards trying to go back to some old unresolved matters, some other things that have just kind of been lingering in the pipeline for amount of time, and figuring out where we are. Some of these cases that are open get very complicated because of all the permit tolling. They had the original 426 days plus a possible 2 years depending on when it expired. So it's requiring a lot of work to kind of go through these, but we're working towards that. I've also completed a certification through UNH for stormwater, so that's a great benefit for us to be able to review projects with more knowledge background, and obviously the more we do it, the more repetition, the more familiar. But for the town and all, that's going to be a great aspect, and especially with going through what Heather and I are working towards to trying to manage more of our stormwater BMPs, because all of this discharge that is making its way into our lakes, into our drinking water, into our well water systems, really just being to have a better internal process to manage it, make sure these things are being inspected before bad things happen. I go back to before I was even employed here, if anyone in the area remembers when Cumberland Farms had the nice flooding incident because they weren't doing what they were supposed to. So things like that, that if we're on top of managing it, it contributes to all of these other environmental concerns too. Working on our annual report as we're coming in towards the end of the year. We are working with the select board's office for the renewals and whatnot. We already know that Roy is going to be resigning, Eric is going to be continuing, and we are looking to promote Nate to regular member. I would like to get all those handled in June, so that way at our last June meeting on June 26th, we can do the board reorganization, so that way we just go into the new fiscal year ready to go and it's just done with. They have started the construction for the River Road parking lot and the Grand Trunk Trail expansion there. We had a groundbreaking on Monday. So far it looks great. We've been out 3 times since they've been working on it. Ty and Bond's turtle monitor has not seen any turtles. But she was very well prepared. She gave all the guys on site flashcards and everything. They are going to be doing some removal of some burning bush in that area too. What's that?
I can't imagine they wouldn't find turtles in there.
She didn't see any during the site.
Yeah.
As we were having the pre-construction meeting, she did her inspection and they're getting ready to move the trucks in, and a family of Canada geese crossed the street from the campground onto the site with their little babies. And we're all just like, you don't want to go there. Go back to the camp, it's more fun. But that's underway, and that was a good project to move forward on. We're having our pre-construction meeting for 216 and 226 Charlton Road on Monday. That's the urgent care. So that will be underway soon. Another great thing to see under the area. And if you have not already seen, the rec is currently open too. So that project is underway. So lots of activity going on in town right now.
Do they have an estimate date for completion for the rack?
I don't know it off the top of my head. I know that they have to have it done in June before
the
rec starts. I know there was some issues with disassembling the playground material because some of the welding and the bolts was on so tight that they weren't able to disassemble it. So there is a chance some of the playground equipment might need to get replaced. But just the more times going out there and seeing all that loose rubber that has made its way towards the lake, I personally am very much looking forward to having something that's not going to be a mess to clean up. Glenn mentioned it when he was here, but we are no longer in a drought. Fantastic. It's been raining. We actually had, we did a visit today on Plimpton with Brandon and Lainey from Opakam, and of course, it hadn't been raining all day, and we show up and it starts pouring. And it poured the entire time that we were there, so we did our visit with them from the truck. But it was still very beneficial. That being said, going back to the discussion on having a joint meeting with trails, we had kind of discussed and said to separate Opakam versus the lead mine issues and everything too. So what we'd be looking to discuss is Grand Trunk Trail expansion and how that correlates into lead mine, as well as Hammett Brook, with Liz from Fish and Wildlife, and how we can resurrect this project to get it going, and how that also plays into the Grand Trunk Trail expansion. We're looking to do the joint meeting on either the 20th or the 29th of this month. And we'll keep it hybrid for participation. We don't necessarily need everybody, but it would be with both committees and with Liz from Fish and Wildlife, and then of course anyone from the public that decides to join.
Good.
20 or?
Let us know what the date is, we can figure out when.
29th would be, I don't know, is it in the evening or what?
Yeah, we'd do evening. Probably the same time as I usually. When does Trails usually meet? 6?
7.
7. We'll try and see if we can get them to do 6, because.
They can do 6 usually.
Okay.
Yeah, we've started earlier before.
So I'm leaning towards the 29th if that works for everyone. So 6 p.m. on the 29th, we'll have a joint meeting.
Fine with me.
Okay. Site visits for the next meeting. As of right now, the only thing that I know of is the amendment to the Podunk Putnam transmission line project, which we wouldn't need a site visit for because we've been there plenty of times. But
Well, hopefully we'll get to go on 30 River.
yeah, well, the attorneys are coordinating that, and then there's gonna have to be another one for Kerboy, and then there's gonna have to be one for 241 and 245 Main.
Yeah.
But those, we need to wait for River, we have to coordinate with the attorney. For Main Street, we're waiting till they have that new plan in hand, so we can take the new plan in hand and be on site. And then same with Kerboy, so it's,
Yeah.
those are kind of gonna be that's gonna be an email situation, that I'll try and coordinate those. But for the upcoming meeting, I don't know if we're gonna get anything Monday, but, looking to do, we might not need it at all. I'm going to be on vacation from the 22nd to the 28th. Of course, in my absence, Lori can take you on site visits, but I don't know what everyone's availability will be like. If you want to do it.
I cannot do it on the 19th. It's graduation.
Well, the 19th is the deadline, so it would have to be after the 19th. If you want to do it the week of the meeting.
That will be fine with me.
9th, 10th.
10th better for me. I have a meeting in the morning.
Oh wait, not the 9th, the 10th.
9:30
We're
on the
meeting the
2nd.
5th, sorry. So the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th.
I'm wide open for all those.
Yeah, I am too.
Tuesday or Wednesday is good for me.
Tuesday or Wednesday, Karsten?
Wednesday would be bad.
Wednesday's bad or Wednesday's best?
It's bad.
Bad.
I mean, that's the June 4th, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Rather not.
Eric?
Yeah. Second and third are best for me as well.
Okay, so Tuesday the 3rd, does that work?
That sounds good.
That's good.
Sure.
Okay. And last thing I have, on Monday, we are having a small forum on the open space plan that's focused more just on the recreation aspect of it. It was kind of a invite type thing, trying to get different stakeholders, because when we had our big open space forum, there was a lot of people from recreation that showed up, and this is the most involved recreation has ever been in the open space plan. So just looking to work more towards the actual goals that are on there. So we'll be having that on Monday, so if you hear of anything going on, let us know.
Which Monday?
On this coming Monday, the
the
19th, yeah. And that's all that I have, unless anyone has any questions.
Not that I want to lengthen this, but Ed, when Glenn brought up Six Picker, and he was talking about the encumbrance that was created, if I'm remembering correctly, we stopped it because they did create their own hardship on the 49 side, right? We made them go the way that we went because on 49, they had created their own hardship.
Right.
Am I remembering that correctly? And was he wrong?
What?
We can talk about it later. I just, when Glenn made the comment that it's our obligation to make people aware of hardships, A, I don't believe that's right, but B, I think he was wrong about what his statement was, so.
Yeah, it was wrong. I thought that anyway.
Okay. I mean, it can't be on us. That is ridiculous. But
If we
anyway.
argued with him, we'd still be here tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Glenn's never wrong. Glenn's never wrong.
I
He
know.
will fight to the death if you tell him he is wrong.
Why do you think I didn't challenge him in the
the same
moment?
wrong,
Yes.
separately. Motion to,
Do we have to approve the minutes or?
close the public hearing, right? Close the meeting, shut it down,
Are we done with
Move to
public?
adjourn?
move to adjourn, all right.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Yay, yay, yay.
Aren't we getting free beer from the town of Sturbridge?